I would like to thank all of our current CC who got us through this past year. Um, and I'm probably going to forget somebody here, but Michael White, who has led us as co-chair for the last several months. We have Mike McAllister as our recording secretary, David Schraub as our corresponding secretary. Thank you. We have our CD members. Oh, Bobby Gifford has been our treasurer. All of our CD members. We have Kurt, Josh, Bruce. Thank you, Bruce. Oh, Bruce, I actually think is the Greater Milwaukee Green Party representative. Lauren, who is our Stevens Point. Driftless Greens.
No words, driftless.
So thank you for everybody who has served. Oh, Xavier, our CD1 rep. So thank you. You guys have all made it possible for us to come out strong this year. And then I want to thank also, oh, Chester, I forgot, who's also on our coordinating committee. Wanted to thank Chester for running a strong campaign. I'm excited to hear more about that in the elections report today. So we do have a pretty, I don't know, I think strict schedule today. So going through all of our reports, and then a lot of bylaws to go through. So first, we will start off with our speaker, who I'm very excited to have. And I'm sorry, please help me with the name. Khalif Muabel. He is the executive director of Breaking Barriers. He has been, I've heard him speak, I think, once at a Jill Stein campaign, and very riveting. So I am very excited to have him here today to speak to us as the state party. So welcome. Thank you.
Peace and love, everybody. I said peace and love, everybody. It's always good to begin on a good note, if that makes sense. So we want to invoke the energy of peace in the atmosphere. And we want to invoke the energy of love. That makes sense to everybody. All right. My name is Minister Khalif. I'm the executive director of Breaking Barriers Mentoring, Inc. And I have very humble beginnings that I come from. Thank you. I won't be able to do a whole hour because I have another event in Milwaukee, but I'll be able to give at least half of that, if that makes sense. All right. So I served as one of the senior advisors for the Jill Stein campaign for this election, and that was very exciting. You know, that was a great experience. And it's the first time that I've joined a campaign with the Green Party. And there's a big difference. There's a big difference. However, one of the things that I learned on the campaign trail with Jill Stein was, number one, it's important for us to not be locked into this caste system. It's important for us to unplug from the matrix and to see things outside of the box. And right now, the country has been designed around a very narrow scope of how we are to see things, view things, and how we are to see people, understand people, things like that. So we have a very narrow view. And what that does to us when we have that very narrow view, it blocks us off from a lot of potential, personal potential, as well as community potential. And I come from the city of Chicago. I was born in the city of Memphis, Tennessee, and I was raised in Chicago. And being raised in Chicago was interesting, to say the least, because very early in my childhood, I learned hate. I learned discrimination. I learned in opportunity. I learned about a lot of things. And seeing my mother lose my sister at, she had a stillbirth. And Cook County there is known for stillbirths. And apparently a doctor did something to her womb, and it came back that my sister did not survive. Now, my mother was 15 years old when she had me, and she was kind of like a runaway because my grandfather had come over here with his mother from Cuba, and they were refugees. And apparently um my grandfather was his mother was pregnant with him at the time, but she was raped and pregnant with him. And so they fled from Cuba and ended up in Chicago. Um, the reason why this story is significant is because from that point up to this point where I am now, I'm looking at the difference between how I was raised and how my mind and views of the world were shaped, how my mother, her views were shaped at an early age because her circumstances was that she had to conform to her life choices at that moment. And that means a child at the age of 15 years old with nowhere to go. Okay? So that naturally began to shape her worldview. And because that shaped her worldview, she began to develop characteristics based on that, mindsets. And she passed that on to us. She passed that on to us. And a lot of the things that she passed on to us was based on fear. It was based on not just fear, but survival. And right now, I feel that in this country, there is a lot of fear. And a lot of us we are forced to the confines of survival. And when we are forced to the confines of survival and everything is based upon fear, if you throw disunity in the middle of that, we have an even bigger problem. Personally, the Democrats are a people who I've worked with them before, and I realized that the racism is one of those things where I can smile at you and I can act like I like you, but secretly I want to destroy you. I describe the Democratic Party that way. Republican Party, and I work with them, they are more overt. They let you know what it is, but at the same time, they give you explanations why. Green Party. What I've learned about Green Party is there's a balance there. There is a balance. There are people who are among the Green Party that are racist as ever too. There are people among this group of people who have grown up in circumstances that have limited their experiences. And because of those experiences being limited, they only see things through a small scope. And given that, they develop their own mindset and worldview about things. Okay? So there are some people like that in the Green Party. But the thing about the Green Party that separates it from the Republicans and the Democrats, based upon what I've seen with my own experience, is that there is a potential in the Green Party to bring unity. There is a potential in the Green Party to build community. There was a potential for people to come here and have a space, a safe space to speak and be expressive. There is a portion of people here that really believe in the earth and taking care of the universe and making sure that the climate is not being continually altered because of pollution and things like that in the air. And because of the choices that we make as human beings, because we've grown to be very wasteful people in this country. And being very wasteful, we are not very responsible. And when we take away responsibility as an individual, it becomes a collective problem that everyone has to fight, conquer, and at some point, if we all come together mentally, we will solve the problem. But because of the various cultures of diversity and discrimination, this unity has brought in a virus to make sure that we stay weak as a people, even if we are all oppressed. We can be all oppressed in the same state, in the same class, and because we look differently, we will still feel as if we are different. But the class, the station, the status, the condition is all the same. When we are talking about America politics, we're talking about something that was designed to shape our worldview the way they want it. Now, the government has already have a great amount of influence over the people. They have shaped our realities through television, through media, through whatever you name. They've been able to captivate our minds. They've been able to take away our children through social media, AI, and things like that. And so now our children are beginning to develop a mindset of a culture that was brewed out of white supremacy, that was brewed out of patriarchy, that was brewed out of capitalism and things like that. And so if we are going to reverse this cycle, have to understand one thing that is very important, and that is the spirit moves everything. And no one wants to pay attention to the spirit because it's one of those things where you can't see it and everybody speaks about it, but nobody can see it, so it's not tangible to people. But what I say to you is this: if I said in this room something that was very offensive to everyone, the spirit of disrespect, the spirit of all of those things will come up and everyone will feel a certain way. I don't have to touch anyone. I can just say something. That is the spiritual vibrations, and that's the frequency pool of my words. And it's going to influence your mind, it's going to influence your soul, and it's going to influence your spirit. And so you're going to either be receptive to what I'm saying based upon how I transmit my words, or you're going to reject them, right? And it's something that I can put in your spirit right now that can make you happy or sad, simply with this tongue. It is a mighty weapon. So a voice is important. Why? Because voices cut through the cosmos. Voices are not a physical thing. They transmit through spiritual energy. And that force, that spiritual force, can change minds as well as hearts. So no one can tell me that we are far away from liberation of these things in our mind. And I've seen in various different cultures, and I've traveled everywhere, probably not everywhere, literally, but I've traveled enough places to understand that human beings have a common connection to one another, irrespective of their race, creed, culture, or tribe. And what that connection is very simple. And that is, we all feel. No matter what you do, you're going to feel. And those feelings are controlled by vibrations. And those vibrational patterns influence your energy. So when there is a spirit of disunity, of hate, of slander, those things are in the midst, it's going to bring other dark forces. And even if you feel as if you're exempt from those dark forces because of the hate put into the atmosphere, into the world, into the environment, even if you don't feel the vibrational pull at the moment, I guarantee you, you're going to see the effects. And more importantly, you're going to feel the effects, right? I did 10 years in prison. I was subjugated for 10 years in a concentration camp right here in America. And I was tortured by the government for 10 years. And do you believe that I believed that I was ever going to make it out of there? No. There was no way for me to see freedom. There was no way that I can believe that I can open up the door one day and I would leave. No, there was no hope there. But there was something inside of me that believed that that door could be moved, that believed that that wall will be moved, that believed that the system and the circumstances superimposed upon me would move. And that was the energy that I began to engulf inside of myself, and it began to emanate outside, and I was broke free. And from the age of 15 years old to the age of 30, I was in a prison. From the age of 15 to 20, I was in a regular maximum facility, the youngest in the state of Wisconsin to go straight to an adult prison. And then at the age of 20, almost 20, 19 years old, I was kidnapped from the prison, taken to a place that I had no knowledge of, in the middle of nowhere, blindfolded, put into a big van, well, a very small van with very narrow metal all around it. And there was 2 other people there. And we just had to drive and didn't know where we were going. But I know when we got to this place had an energy. I felt the energy, and at the time, as a young man, I could not identify what I was feeling. But what I was feeling, what I learned later down the line, I was feeling the existence of death in the air. But not death in a sense where there's a casket in a funeral, but death to my lower self, death to the old me. This is not a circumstance that I want my children to be in. This is not a condition that I want to see my people in. And this is the last and final straw for me. Because when I walked into that area, I felt no life. And I was born to live. I am here to breathe and to be alive. And because I am alive, there is a purpose involved in my being able to live. Everybody is alive, but not everybody lives. A lot of us are very introverted because of torment, and we call that trauma. Every single person can relate to trauma. Now, some of us have different opportunity. Some of us have opportunity to address the trauma. There is a cultural difference between so-called people of color and people of European descent. There's a difference in culture. Because how America was designed, it was designed to liberate the light-skinned people over the dark-skinned people because of slavery, things like that. And then white supremacy becoming an institution early in the 15th century, all the way down to the 1600s, and then it became an official thing in the 1600s. And then when this country was established, white supremacy was a thing, and the West began to sweep the world with white supremacy. And so now, even in countries like Brazil, there is white supremacy. When Brazil is the largest population of Africans outside of Africa. But there is white supremacy there. There is white supremacy in Africa. There's white supremacy in China. There's white supremacy everywhere you go. But what is white supremacy? And I want to touch on that very soon. But before we get to what white supremacy is, we have to understand that we are not what the labels of society have given us. We are not that. These are social constructs designed by a caste system, an imperialistic system, and a colonial government that is designed to make sure that you and I never meet and sit at the same table. It is designed to make sure that we stay divided in a way that we continue to discriminate based on ignorance of one another and the cultures. We have to understand that we are all connected, whether we like it or not. Even if we believe that we are European. European comes from a Phoenician goddess, Europa. Europa is an African goddess. Still African. Still African. So when I'm looking at Rinaldi tribes in Africa, I know where Europeans descend from. So no one can tell me things different because I took it upon myself to educate myself. And the reason why I educated myself is to bring people together and not allow us to be divided by differences that was a product of a social construct and an engine that was designed to specifically keep us separated, subjugated, hating one another while they control us all under the same colonial rule. So the Green Party has to ask itself, what is it that you are wanting to accomplish? Is it that you want to run every year when the time comes for president or the other parties? Or do you want to make a real impact? An impact is different than making a change. I can make a change to anything. doesn't mean that the change is going to be effective. But the fact of the matter is if I make an impact, that impact is going to be what you call a tangible change. And that change is going to rivet every single part of us that's crooked and going to bring everything back into compliance with our natural selves. We have deviated so far from our higher nature that we are all low people. We are lower vibrations. The Catholic Church, they've already modified the frequency levels to 444 in America when we need at least 900 megahertz to survive on a right frequency level. So if you bring down those frequency waves down, what does that do to the human being? You wonder why children are ADD, why people are disconnected, why people are moving so slow in the matrix system, because the frequency levels have changed and you didn't know it. And that allows you to be attacked very easily by simple forms of influences. And the thing is this: green is about bringing back the revitalization of the universe, the earth, right? And this green is a very specific thing for us. I'm a Moor. I'm a divine minister for the Moors. And green is very important to us because that's the color of our star. And it also represents earth as well. So we have to understand that there are a lot of commonalities in the cultures, but I'm challenging all of you today, here in present and on the line. And this challenge is very difficult for everyone. And a lot of people say, oh, you know, I don't have a problem. I'm not this, I'm not that. Hey, listen, you're going to always choose the best thing about yourself, and you're going to always reject criticism if you're not a person who are truly accountable. But I had to go through systems in order to learn the principles of accountability. I don't wish that on anyone else. Finding your own systems of accountability and being able to recognize the deficiencies in the way you live and the way you think and the way you feel and the way you respond to things will change your life tangibly. When we talk about white supremacy, what does that do? It has nothing to do with color. Nothing to do with color. That came later. You see, color came way after the establishment of the institution of white supremacy in America. You see, no one labeled themselves as white or black prior to the 1600s. You go find it and look, you won't find it. You're not going to find it. So something as early as the 1600s has plagued us in a way that has caused us to disconnect socially from the universe first, because if you are disconnecting from your fellow human beings, you've disconnected from the universe. Why? Because we are all individual universes. We are all part of the same particle of construction that began everything. Everything was created for us. If you are real, I don't care if you're religious, what kind of religion you believe, everything in this world is designed to serve you. And you see that. However, what are you designed to serve? Because a lot of people will say, I'm designed to serve God. Okay, well, let's examine this God you're talking about. Because the last I checked, the word God is a German word that comes from the Teutons. Teutons are the Germans. And if you go to the etymology of the word God, it gets from the word Ged, and Ged means supernatural human being. But that's you. That's why it says in the book of Psalms, I said, ye are gods, all of you are children of the Most High, but you should die like men and fall like one of the 12 angels. You see? One of the 12 princes, I mean. So you have to understand who you are. So with everything that you're given comes great responsibility. And everyone in here has a responsibility as a human being first. So what are some of the principalities of human being? Let's look at this word human, right? Now, if you are not a human, you are a dehuman. So that means demon. That means you are demonic. You are demon. You are demand. The highest thing in the universe right now is the station of humanity. No one has a station higher than the human being. But when the human being is off balance and the human being is not in its true self, then they become demon and they become demonic. The energy becomes that way the universe becomes responsive to that particular energy force inside of the atmosphere, and then your homes are starting to affect the children, the generations, everything starts to go down. And we wonder why we don't want war. Because the minute you invoke the word war, the concept alone begins to eat spirits in the atmosphere that are human beings in the flesh. The concept simply, you see, you don't have to kill a man physically before you kill him. We are judged by our intentions. What is the matters of your heart is the point that I'm making today. How can we get there? So this is the challenge that I'm having to the Green Party today. Understanding the underlying scope of affairs that you have and the big, tall order that you have on your shoulders. You have to become more intentional about carrying that cross. Because right now, some people are committed to specific things. But when you are committed to a humanity thing, then human beings among you, no matter what race, creed, culture, or whatever, they're going to feel the spirit of your humanity and the genuinity that comes from that spirit of love. They're going to embrace it. And you have the power to unite the people. But you have to challenge yourselves to step outside of yourselves. Go get people who don't look like you so you can learn from those people and they can learn from you. Began to create a new culture in politics. Began to understand that every human soul matters. And that's why we must tend to the earth. But we can't do one side of the people and then leave all of those people alone in their own suffering and no direction there. We have to be inclusive. We have to be universal. And our minds have to be there first. Your heart has to beat you there. Your mind has to challenge your heart, and your heart has to declare that you will be victorious as an individual human being, driven to this cause, to liberate the fallen stages of human beings here. Because if you don't heed the charge the way that you've already committed to doing, then you are failing yourself by just playing around with something that looks good. Now, this is not nothing. This is real lives we're talking about. We're talking about real lives. We're talking about real planet that gives us everything we need. We don't want people saying that the Greens are the same as the Democrats and the Republicans. If you're going to be different, you have to really be different. You have to really examine. Maybe there's a revision that needs to happen. Maybe that revision has to look more broad. Maybe that revision has more challenges for expansion. But you have to open your minds, you have to open your hearts to something bigger and greater beyond yourselves. And more importantly, you have to have the faith to know that with that conviction, you're going to be successful. The spirit moves. That's the first thing I said. The spirit moves. There's nothing in the physical that the spirit can't move. Because before it happened in the physical, it was there first. So think about this. When you get angry and you're up there, you might want to punch something, and you try not to think about punching someone, but you're all the way up there. All right? Now, the amount of time that you spend being angry is equivalent to an hour of smiling. So just think, the moment in that anger has damaged your body, your mind, your arteries, your heart, and everything that much in a moment. So breathe and appreciate the breath coming from your lungs and appreciate the air that you're breathing in. But think about the air that you're bringing in, because this is our quest. That is our challenge. It is not easy. You're going to be minorities in the beginning. Just like every community, the community of who we know to be Christ today who was the Nazarenes in the time of Nazarenes. And this Yeshua ben Yusuf, this brother here, had a community of people. They were 75 strong, and they were underground. And then they became one of the largest religions or cults in the world. Same thing with the Freemasons, same thing with the Catholics and everybody else. Everyone starts like this. And it takes us to have true think tanks. True think tanks, not with the people with the same ideas that we have, but people who are going to step outside of the normal spectrum and expand our minds into a different direction, but at the same time, the same mission. But understanding that there are social dynamics and there are social things that needs to be addressed. And we have to have one major thing: courage. And we don't go to war like that. We don't need tanks and military. We don't need those things. We're already at war with ourselves. And that is the battle that we must tend to first. And understand that if there's a conflict inside of us, we have to resolve that conflict before we have clarity in our direction. And it's okay to have the conflict. That's the best thing. That's what makes you human. That conflict there alone makes you human. And when you see that conflict, just know that the Most High Creator, the greatest force, is calling on you to liberate you. You're being called on for a reason, because you can acknowledge that there is need for expansion. There is an acknowledgement that there is a need for growth. There is acknowledgement that there is a need for liberation. There is acknowledgement that there is a need to tend to the battle inside of ourselves so that clarity can allow us to design and carve the way for our purpose, to see. So I am saying that the Spirit moves. And if everybody was in the same spiritual energy and they were all demonstrating the high vibrations, this movement here, Green Party, can become a great force in America, greater than any other party. And you don't have to take all of the big buck dollars that's coming from imperialists and colonizers and things like that. We can keep our integrity, because when everybody is on the same page, organized people organize money. Organized people organize money. That's why the secret is in galvanizing, bringing the people together. Now, we know how nations are designed. Nations are designed, they have a flag, they have one man, they have one God, they have a government, they have a religion, etc., etc. Nations are designed like that, right? The same thing with tribes. This is how you need solidified things like that. You need 60,000 people to become a real nation in UN terminology, right? Okay, so if Green Party has those kind of numbers, you have a nation. Now, what are you going to do with that nation that you're responsible for? More importantly, what is that nation going to do for the generation that's coming right after them, to fulfill the footprints that you left clearly cut? But what are you leaving behind? Confusion? No. We have to think about that. Is my direction clear enough, where my footsteps are cut clear enough for my generations coming after me to follow? We have to ask ourselves that. So with that kind of clarity, if you have that kind of clarity where someone can come behind you and do exactly what you did and pick up where you left off and go boom, all is truly well. That is beautiful. But it takes a while to get there. Some may get there never. Some may get there tomorrow. And some may get there someday. But I just know that we will all get there one day, if that makes sense to everyone. The last thing I'm going to say is this, is that I really enjoyed the campaign trail. I was able to see and learn a lot of things internally about politics that I had no knowledge of. I learned, it gave me great IQ in politics. And I respected how Jill navigated through the political spectrum. You know, I respected that. But what I did not respect, and I'm going to be very candid, you're going to learn about me, I'm very straightforward, is her support. The people around her are conservative thinkers. They think conservatively. And so it's very difficult to move outside of the political spectrum and into the human pool when you have that right there. So just for us to see, what I'm saying is we have to expand our minds and our cause will follow. And the thing is that the purpose of this party is a circle there and it's peace there. And there are people here, and there a dove, and there a justice scale, and then there's a tree. So these symbolisms are very important for us to understand. Because if you're looking at this right here, it's equal opportunity. Because that's the justice scale, and that's the balance. And the peace of a society depends upon what? Justice. So if there's no justice in this, if there's no peace in the society, you're not going to see justice. It's not there. Because justice will bring the balance that will bring the ease. And this is what we've been fighting for since the beginning of a colonial rule. Justice. And we've all been fighting for the same justice. It doesn't matter what part of the justice you want. It's just the fact that you need it. And that's the overarching concept that is binding us all to love and unity. And then these are people here that are very happy people. Right? And it looked like two children. And then the person in the middle is an adult. But this person is holding up these two children on both sides. And we just talked about the generations. It's imperative that we understand that the mission here is much greater than we imagine. And I want us all to hone in on that. And I want us all to understand one major thing. And this major thing is this, is that we can do nothing without love. Nothing. It's not going to happen. So we have to be able to put out the fire of hate with the water of love and make sure that we let everybody sip from the cup of that love to put out their fire also. And with that being said, I want to thank you all for listening to what I had to say. And I hope that by the grace of the Most High, that something I said resonate with you and that it resonate with your heart and your being. And hopefully in the future, we will see each other again. And the circumstances will be such that it will make us all remember this moment and we may shed a tear together. And I wish that for you all. Peace and love, and may the Most High continue to bless you and continue to make you successful in your endeavors. And I pray for prosperity on your path, and I pray for success on your mission. With that, peace and love.
Much respect, please.
Yes. Yes, sir. I remember you. Yeah. The march on the DNC that we did with the Poor People's Army. So they gave us a permit, and that was very suspicious because they'd never done that in Chicago history that I'm aware of. And they changed our route. They changed our route at the very last minute. And so what I did was go with Galen and Sherry, and we went a complete different way to get to the same place. But we had to leave the main crowd. So we left the main crowd and we went over there, and there was this army of police officers over there waiting, saying that we can't come past this threshold. And we said we can come past this threshold. So we continue to go past the threshold. And so a bunch of them swooped in like this and on Sherry. And I said, you can't touch her because she's a very important person. If you put your hands on her, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. And they said, well, she's pushing forward. She's pushing through us. And I said, it doesn't matter. You can't handle one little woman. So they ended up arresting her down the line, but she wanted them to, she kind of wanted them to arrest her to make her point. And so she was taken into custody and we were able to get up out of there and she was out of there the next day, so that's what happened there. Yeah, absolutely.
So we were down there and we had to make this right turn on the street and we were stalled and there were like 1,500 cops on bicycle. There were more like 4-to-1 ratio on the cops. And so we were stalled, didn't know what was going to happen. And because they had the cops blocked our way 3 deep, and they all had Glocks and they're anyhow. So we didn't know. And then I was a little bit away from the front. So you guys were doing scoping going out ahead. And then so we went 2 blocks east towards the lake and then made a right turn. You're saying that was just like a guerrilla move, then we just took that turf? And because they did not follow, they didn't follow us. The cops didn't follow. Eventually they caught on and then all the cops came. That's awesome. Okay, thank you.
We had a pre-plan already because we knew they were going to do something. Yeah. To the first question, I would say what would have happened if she had more less conservative people around her, they would have reached more people. They would have reached more people and more communities would have been able to come out and support. Okay. And because of that, conservative resources were being put into areas that were, kind of not as relevant as those, in my opinion. So with the abolishment of the police and prisons, I'm all about abolishing prisons, for sure. But what I learned about prisons is that there are some people there that you may need to keep in jails and stuff like that, because some of those people are very predatorial. I've run into some of those people, I'm not going to lie, but there are a lot of great people there. But I'm not going to sit here and bear false witness. I had a man tell me one time when I asked him, why did you touch the 6-year-old girl? He said she was his right. So I was very offended by that. So I reflect on people like that there. And maybe those people need institutions for mental health and things like that. There must be a better response to punitivity than a response to crime than punitivity. There has to be a more productive response to a human being that has been broken and marginalized and put into a situation, maybe cascade. And a lot of these things, they can take responsibility for, but a lot of these things are systemic. So if these things are systemic, you can't say, okay, I'm going to design an institution to make sure you fail, and then when you fail, we're going to kill you and chop off your rights to your legacy. That's not right. So I personally, I believe that some people in the prison definitely need an alternative. And as far as the abolishment of the police, I believe that if the community was more together, we can police ourselves. I'm the one that brought community police into Wisconsin, the violence interrupters and things like that. This is a community response to the violence in our communities and things like that. If the communities were a society and the people were together, they would be able to purge any crime in their own society, in their communities, very easily. We've done it. So I believe that putting that in the hands of the people could work. But if the police stayed a force, it would be one of those things where they would have to have accountability to the people, and they would have to have less immunity and less freedom to do some of the things that they're doing. to the people that they are supposed to protect. So given that, I would say that we have to have systems in government that protects rights of people, but we also have to make sure that those systems are just and balanced for all people. And from that perspective, I would say that's my response to that. Yes, sir. Any more? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, my brother.
Yes,
I'd
sir.
like, how are you, my dear brother?
I'm peaceful, man. I appreciate you asking. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine and love your speech. I need to ask a
Gratitude.
question.
Yes, sir.
As the Democrats continuously blow smoke into the minority communities, and we see that our party, the Green Party, has a lack of inclusion, not on purpose, but because of the let's say the message hasn't been spread deep enough into minority communities. How would you go about getting that inclusion?
I would personally, I wouldn't use the tool of the Democrats, but I would go into the communities of people, and I would look for the leaders in those communities of color and different kinds, whether it be Hispanic, whether anything of color. I wouldn't say minority because that's not the truth, but I would say that we go and find the leaders in those communities and we sit at the table with them and we come up with a common ground with those people, and they will bring their people. And being able to identify that, you would need coordinators, you would need organizers in those communities to learn the landscape. And it would be better if you found someone from those communities that know the landscape and know the lay of the land that would be able to connect you to everyone else there. And it's very easy in Milwaukee, specifically, or Racine or something like that, to go into these communities with these people, and they will become supporters, because a lot of people don't want Democrats, a lot of people don't want the Republicans. So this is a time for you guys to rise. I'm not going to blow smoke up your guys like the Republicans and the Democrats do to everybody. I'm going to tell you the truth. You have an opportunity, but it's on you to seize the moment.
Yes, sir. I agree 100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, thank you so much, Khalif. That was inspirational, yet holding us accountable to make sure that we follow our own values, do the reach outs that we do need to do. And thank you for not only speaking to us today, but all the work you do for social justice. So. Next up on our agenda is co-chair report, Michael White.
Greetings.
Would you be
I'm
willing
going
to?
to turn on. Yeah, I just turned on my video. I'll give a brief summary. As everybody knows, I have other things going on. My brother's celebration of life and memorial is a little later today, so I'm a little less focused than I would like to be. This has been a very successful 6 months. We fielded the first congressional candidate in quite a while. They got, I think, 6% of the vote, which I think Chester, having accomplished that in the district he was in, was extraordinary. We put things together to put resources in place to support our candidates. We supported the Stein campaign. We fended off legal challenges to ballot access. We've got one new chapter established and I think 2 others in the works. And we did that despite being essentially in chaos in the spring. I won't say we don't have things we have to resolve, because we do. But I see more energy taking place than I remember from the last time I was well involved with the party. And I just want to thank the support everybody has given each other, and all the encouragement and the respect. And now that the election is over, now is the time to focus on fielding our next set of candidates to focus on organizing, to speak publicly about what we're doing, and to change the direction and to become relevant. So I challenge everybody to take up those challenges, those tasks personally, and get involved. I do, as I have said by email, I do want to stand for the 2-year co-chair position. And I want to thank Lauren for being our new member of the coordinating council from the Driftless Greens. Everybody on the coordinating council has been helpful and supportive, and I want to say thank you. And I think with that, I'll keep it brief and stop. I pass.
All right, thank you so much, Michael. Is Bobby Gifford on? No? No Bobby today? Okay. I do have some financial notes that I can give in his place. Currently, as we stand, we have $1,709.37 in our checking account. We do have, I believe just our only outstanding right now is $500 for this meeting. That'll be coming out. In our savings, we do have $12,029.64. So this year to date, we did have $3,809.42 come in from donations and memberships. And we did do quite a bit of spending this year with $6,919.50 going out. I will say that a lot of that was has gone to elections, specifically the Chester Todd campaign. I know we were doing promoting him quite a bit and also doing a little bit of experimenting. So that's where that went. And I think as the finance committee does really need to focus on fundraising this year. So with that in mind, if you do have some additional funds that you can give the Green Party, please do so. As you can see, we did great things on the campaigns this year, and we're planning some big things coming up. So again, if you can donate a little bit extra on top of that membership, we'd really appreciate it. Okay. Then going right into membership dues approval. So yearly we do have to approve our dues, what we do charge for dues. Currently, we have $36 for individual membership. Hold on, I'm looking up the current amounts here. If anybody from membership can know them offhand, please speak up.
$12 for students and low income.
Perfect, thank you. Household is $60 a month or $60 a year. Activist, $120 a year, and the pillar is $240. Student low income, $12. Is there any discussion on what our current dues are? Anybody have any opinions? No. Okay.
General numbers would be the people that are low income, provided they're active in the party.
Okay. Any further, I'm not sure if anybody could hear, but it was suggested that there is a zero dues option for those who are active in the party for low income. So it sounds like that would be replacing the $12 a year for low income. Any discussion on that?
How do you want to verify it, or we can, if we did want to go that route, you would need to verify it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so the comment was, how do we verify, or if we need to verify? And so the comeback was no need to verify. We're probably one of the most trustworthy political parties.
$12 should not be a reason to stop a person from being politically active.
Okay, great. So it sounds like there is a proposal to add a low income option of $0 a month. And I believe there is already an option to request a waiver. So on an independent basis, if you're not able to pay that membership, you can request a waiver of the dues. So maybe that's something that does need to be more publicly put on our website, as it's not. Mhm. An addition. Okay. Okay.
Michael White Stack.
Oh, so we'll go Michael White and then Lauren. Lauren, is that okay?
2-second break while I set up a microphone so that everybody.
Oh. Okay. Okay. Well, can Michael White go speak while you're, Michael White, if you want to go ahead and then.
And I just want to say thanks, Rita. Rita and her family and the Milwaukee Greens. I want to publicly thank you for your energy. I know we've had a bunch of upheaval recently, but nobody has done more than you've been doing for the last 6 months to a year. And I think I just want to acknowledge that. Going to the meat of the question, political parties need to raise money. But I think that those people that have the means to contribute should contribute, because that's the only way we're going to be able to put our message out. But I think it was Joe Nathan who said it, because I can't hear clearly through the mic, but we're the most trusting party out there. And I can't believe that there's that many people out there that would want to come be an active part of the Green Party and then misrepresent what they have, what there are, et cetera. So I totally support the proposal for, if people say they don't have the money to participate for pay dues, but they want to participate, let's do it. And with that, I'll pass.
I switched over, so you'll be talking through basically, hopefully, let's see if everybody can hear each other now. It's totally, I mean, yeah, we can move the camera so that everybody can, they'll be seeing the audience this time. Perfect. Is that right? Perfect. They won't be seeing you at all.
All right, so it sounds like there is the proposal to have, I mean, I think it already exists, but a proposal to have a $0 option for activity in the Green Party for low income. And is there a second? Okay, perfect. We have seconds here. Sure. We have some online as well. And I'm not totally up on bylaws, but I assume that has to go to the vote.
We can make decisions at a membership meeting. Okay. The membership has the power to decide things at a membership meeting.
So
Rita is correct. The membership at this meeting has the.
Okay, perfect. So any stand asides? Anybody on there? No. Any objections? Perfect.
So if you want to also be in the camera, then we'll just move your lectern a little bit. Is this?
So it's, so we will have the $0 low income also available via online or for membership. All right. So are all other dues then approved? Any discussion on other dues?
Sure.
Okay. Any stand asides on approving? the $36 for individual, $60 for household, $120 for activists, $240 for pillar, and $12 for students, low income, and then we'll add the $0 option as well for low income.
That, oh, darn. That also applies to seniors.
I mean, if, yes, it's low income, so it, if it's a low income, I mean, I hope if you're, I mean, I don't think we broke out like, yeah, like,
So low income seniors.
Dave Schwab has a stack in the chat.
Dave Schwab?
Yeah, $12 and nothing.
Dave, are you there?
$12.
I'll pass for
He
right now.
decided to pass.
So any stand asides? Objections? Okay, hearing none, it sounds like our membership dues are approved for this next year. Okay. Next on our agenda is the chapter accreditation and approval, chapter accreditation approvals and chapter reports. So we currently have 3 chapters: the Great Lakes, Greater Milwaukee Green Party, and 4 Lakes. I'm sorry, the 4 Lakes Party is the Madison area one. And Lauren, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the Driftless Greens. So first, I think, well, maybe we should hear from each of the chapters first. Lauren, could you tell us just like when you have meetings and?
We're still working on that. Michael just got back in country. We've had one meeting so far. Just recently, just the last CC meeting got hopefully accepted as a chapter. So we're gonna try to meet monthly. Ideally, we'd like to maybe have at least once or twice a year in person, but at the very least we use Zoom. I think we're gonna target at least monthly. But as far as when those will be, I think we're still hammering that stuff out a little bit. Right now, it's just my wife, me, and Michael. We're hoping to maybe I think Michael had a couple connections down in this area, and I've talked to a couple people, but maybe hopefully we can grow. But that's where we're at so far.
Perfect. So what I hear is anybody in that area, please reach out to the Driftless Greens.
Pretty much the whole western Wisconsin. So it's the third congressional district, essentially.
Perfect. So 3rd district, get in touch with the Driftless Greens. Okay. Does somebody from Greater Milwaukee Greens?
First of all, we have something for the Driftless
Oh, I'm
Greens.
just gonna do that now.
You want to do that later?
Yeah, I was gonna do it once we approve accreditation.
Oh, it haven't been approved?
No, none of them are. Every year we have to approve.
Oh, that's right. Okay. All right.
So anybody from the Greater Milwaukee Greens want to?
Yeah.
You can, right there.
Please be in the camera.
Oh.
If you move this way more.
Table,
Yeah.
bar, the
There you
speaker right there.
The speaker's on the table.
Okay, where am I looking? Oh, there I'm.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me just a second, because I was chasing a toddler. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you.
Okay. Get closer to Bruce's ear. Okay. People can see me. Okay. And as I was saying, hang on just a second for my report. So I wrote some things down, and I don't want to miss anybody or anything. So, hi, I'm Barbara Dahlgren. I'm the co-chair of the Greater Milwaukee Green Party. I hope everyone's doing well today. Thank you so much for taking the time to come out here and to take your time online with us. We have done so many things this year, and I tried to compact it all in just a few sentences so that people kind of get the gist of all of this huge year that the Greater Milwaukee Green Party has accomplished so far. It's not even the end of the year, and we've already done so much. So, let's see. So first of all, we had 3 goals in the Greater Milwaukee Green Party. One of them was a membership goal to double our membership, and we have done over 50% increase in membership so far. And our goal started in March, so like this is not even the end of a year period. So that's fantastic. We had a goal to help out the marchers that were involved in marching from Wisconsin all the way to Illinois, and to protest the RNC and the DNC and the entire establishment. And I'm very proud to say that we marched with the group. We were there in Chicago, we were here in Milwaukee. We announced Jill Stein up here in Milwaukee. We helped feed people, we helped get people tents, we helped keep these people alive on their 100-mile journey. And we're very proud to be a big supporter of the Poor People's Army and be in solidarity with all the people who were in that movement. And we look forward to continue that connection. We really had difficulty finding a congressional candidate for District 4 this spring, but we ended up finding one anyway at the last minute. Mike Levitt ran as a write-in candidate, and we are waiting to find out how many votes he got, because they come up as scatter. So we're working on finding that out, but we were so glad to have an anti-imperialist, pro-worker, pro-environmentalist candidate to vote for, rather than the same old Glenn Moore, who is not very strong against the wars. So we're very, very happy to have a candidate, and we have multiple candidates who announced for 2026, including Jill Ferguson, including Pete Karras. And we're very happy and excited that we're moving forward. It's not just, the election was last week and that's it and we all go home. We are going to continue to work to build this party through 2026, and we already are starting to build that plan. So we're very excited about that. And we've continued to grow our coalition partners. We added a new one recently that was actually kind of an old partner to the Green Party, and that's United, Wisconsin United to Amend, which is connected to the movement to amend the Constitution. And so we have decided to pursue making sure that Milwaukee has a resolution to amend the Constitution so that corporations are no longer considered people. So we're very excited to keep moving forward. I don't want to take too long, sorry, that we have such a big year, and we're so excited to continue to build this party. And I just wanted to mention one other thing that we passed this last meeting, and it's something that we had been doing for a while, but hadn't formally made a program to do so. And that's our locals program. And we put a page on your website about it to help our sister locals with the resources that we can. We want to be able to reach out between other locals across the state and help other locals build so that we're one of so many other local parties. And so if you want to go on there right now, it's just a page saying exactly what we can do to help other locals grow. It's kind of what we have been doing, but we will also be putting up additional resources that other parties can print out for their tables, or helpful tips that we've found in building our local. So thank you all, and thanks for being here again.
Yeah, Micah, don't like it.
Oh, hi, Micah.
So thank you so much, Barb. Do we have anybody from Four Lakes online that can give a quick report of what they've been up to? No. All right, so oh, go ahead, Bruce.
Is Four Lakes even meeting these days? Have they met lately?
I know that there has been some drop off during the election because I believe Dave Schwab has been kind of the more active, I guess, coordinator. Okay, so Four Lake Greens are our other.
Jack.
Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so for folks who don't know me, well, let me start my video too. Hey, Dave here. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know me, I've been working as the communications director for the Jill Stein campaign. And yeah, pretty much all of my available energy has been going towards that. And we're not done yet either. In fact, I just got back from Dearborn, where we were spending election day and beyond with the campaign team, and we still have a lot going on. So, yeah, I have not been able to be very involved in the Four Lakes Green Party, and you know, I've done my best to stay up with the Wisconsin Green Party, but like I said, you know, 99.9% of my energy has been going into the Jill Stein campaign, and you know, trying to build the Green Party nationally through that means. So, yeah, I don't have really anything to report on the local level that would be of particular interest right now. I can just say that, you know, we certainly had a lot of local support, and I'm looking forward to, you know, connecting with people in the area, you know, particularly people who were brought in by our campaigns, either, you know, voting for Jill Stein and Butch Ware, or, you know, we also had a lot of people interested in Chester Todd's campaign here. And I think at this point we need to pull in those people who were supporting our campaigns and organize them on the local level. So looking forward to that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got to report on that front right now. Pass.
Thank you, Dave. All right, so I propose that we move to accredit all three of our locals after the upcoming year. Any discussion? Yeah.
Does that have to be done every year?
Yeah, that's what it says in the bylaws.
If we don't even know if Madison has any members, if all they've got is Dave, we need 3 members. Who have you got left in Madison?
Dave,
Michael White Stack.
had Michael White.
I think Bruce is making a good point in the sense that we really want our chapters to be active in membership, given the constraints because of COVID and Zoom and everything that's happened since then. I think that while we might want to insist on X number of members, at some point moving forward, I would support the default being an existing chapter is accredited unless there's something that merits removing their accreditation. And with that, I'll pass.
So Dave, name 2 other people that are with the Madison Greens, and then you're a chapter, right? I mean, then you would have officers, or name your officers.
Stack.
Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, you know, not to repeat myself, but again, all my energy has been on the Jill Stein campaign. Yeah, like literally up until now. And we're still working full time on the campaign. We could easily check our list of members to see how many members we have in Dane County, who's up on their dues, that sort of thing. And that's someone that anyone with access to our database should be able to do. Yeah, so I'll pass with that.
Okay, so I saw Josh and then Tommy. And be in line.
Just leave this alone, can we really try that?
A provisional.
That are 3 members, that's the criteria.
Okay, and then Tommy, you had
So what's the difference if we put it the Madison Green or not?
Yeah, so I think the difference is they do have, we list them on our webpage, and then we also, they get a representative to the CC, the coordinating council.
Good.
Okay, any further Barb?
When's the next Madison meeting?
Okay. So I think, yeah, Dave has been too busy. I think he's the only Madison area, Four Lakes area rep. I think I'd like to do, so it sounds like all the discussion is about the Madison Greens. So can I alter my proposal to accrediting for the next year, the Greater Milwaukee Green Party and the Driftless Greens? Any discussion on those 2? Any stand asides? Okay, any objections?
Oh, Stack, clarification. Could you, I'm a little confused. What's happening with Madison? Because I'm in Nation Builder trying to find out who's in Dane County.
Right now, they have been removed from the proposal. We'll deal with them separately because all the discussion was on them. So right now we're looking to accredit just the Greater Milwaukee Green Party and the Driftless Greens. And it looks like
Michael
they might
White, point of order.
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
For clarification, Joe Nathan, we're not gonna fail to deal with Madison. What if I understand what Tiffany is doing, we're gonna get these 2 out of the way and then we can come back to Madison so we don't delay the others and we'll go from there. I'm also trying to get into Nation Builder and look at things. Pass.
Yep, thank you. So
Dave did answer your question in the chat.
Okay. So the first 2, any objections to accrediting Greater Milwaukee Green Party and Driftless Greens? Okay, so it looks like we have those 2 accredited. Congratulations. And then Madison Greens, they did answer that they have November 23rd is their next meeting. I'm sure Nation Builder will have plenty of Madison people in it. So what are the other criteria? Meeting schedule 3.
No, they already have bylaws and everything, it's just
Yep.
We were just making
Yep.
sure that they still.
Okay, so are there any other, is there any other discussion?
Do they have three people?
They're checking the database, but knowing Madison, I'm assuming they can find at least 3.
How many finance members got paid for just that they are that they're sacred?
Michael Whitestack.
Had Michael White.
I'm still pulling up the spreadsheet, but the last spreadsheet export that I did had more than 50 people in the Madison area. So on paper, we have those numbers. I'm not yet identifying who's paying dues and not paying dues, but I know several people in the greater Madison area who have been on the regular contributing in terms of our money going into PayPal. So on that basis, they qualify. I think that the issue is one of participation, and that is one that we need to fix, but I don't think it's a basis for disqualification at the present time, and I would strongly support continuing their certification. Pass.
So any other discussion on accrediting, upping the accreditation for Madison? Go ahead, Bruce.
I would say we need, before we accept a member of the coordinating council from the Great Lakes, 4 Lakes, we need to know there is a 4 Lakes. So I think any approval of our coordinating council representative should be postponed until we know for sure that they're a party. It's in our bylaws.
Okay.
And the other thing is that Madison over the years has been in and out as an active local many times. They just kind of disappear and come back eventually. That may be what's happening now. I mean, there's so many groups in Madison that belong to. It's really hard to hold a local together in the city. That's my experience. That's their history. So I'm just saying, you gotta. I would, like I said, postpone any approval of CC rep until we know that they're still a party. Yes.
And Josh, did you have?
I don't think currently we have a
Correct. Okay, so are we planning on a provisional accreditation based on them providing officer list? I think, or the 3 members.
That was the original proposal by Josh.
Okay. Go ahead, Barb.
No, Greater Milwaukee Greens have had some hard times. And we've never been questioned for accreditation at the state level. And I appreciate that. And I think that we should stand by people who are trying to keep it local. I do want to make sure that the information is out for everybody, that there is that November 23rd meeting, and have a place that it is located, so that the people who feel like they're out on a limb in Madison and don't really know if there are meetings, that they can get that information right away and rebuild from the energy that they've got now.
Okay. All right, Tommy.
I propose that we postpone accreditation until they have that meeting.
Okay, the problem with, that wouldn't be until our spring meeting. So I would just,
No,
if we do a provisional.
We can
and-
say that they become a chapter.
Okay.
Once they have a meeting.
So a
With it.
provisional accreditation based on them having a meeting and providing at least 3 WIGP members. Okay, any other discussion on that then?
Michael Whitestack, when Josh is done.
they were able to pause, yeah. So they were able to.
Yes, John, you might have to come up.
Okay, so Josh's suggestion is to have a hybrid model, kind of Greater Milwaukee Green Party, so that people can join when they're busy lives or as they are deciding to move into the area can join. Okay. All right. So
We have something on the table though, right?
yeah, so right now, the proposal is that we provide a provisional accreditation to the 4 Lake Greens based on them having their next meeting and providing the 3 people, the 3 members to their party. Okay, Lauren has discussion.
You have to have office.
Okay.
I just have a question. If they have, people and, so if we accredit them and they don't have, as much activity as maybe we'd like, what would the downside be versus if they do have some people, but maybe they are struggling and we don't accredit them, could that like potentially shut them out and make it even harder for them to get up to speed? So just like, I guess I'm wondering, if we just go ahead and rubber stamp and accredit them, which it seems to me more of a bit of a formality rubber stamping process, what would the downside or threat be versus like imposing like?
I mean, so I think the main, and anybody who has more knowledge, please correct me. The main downsides to them not being accredited is not getting a member to the coordinating council. So that area would not have that voice if they do have a.
What's the I guess, what's the functional risk to the state party by accrediting them and them not? Because if they don't have anybody, so.
I mean, yeah, it's just us telling people in that area to go, hey, go check out your local party, and then there's nothing.
So, right, yeah, so I would think, I just, if you can accredit and then you maybe appoint somebody to follow up and just be like, hey, let's try to like maybe
somebody within
touch
that
base
area.
with people on the ground, but they maintain on the website, like.
Okay. I think, Tom, did you have a?
Oh, yeah, well, I'm trying to address, so if you basically just have, say, one person that shows up at the coordinating council and they don't have meetings, that's an unbalanced amount of power. I mean, there's an obligation as a chapter to have meetings and to have the structure in place for the officers. So that, and so then after you establish that, then you deserve to be presented.
So the risk is hypothetical if you just had one person and they made themselves the officer and they showed up to the coordinating.
1 or 2 people that just, you know, run for coordinating council and get on there, and then if they don't have meetings, that doesn't make sense.
Okay.
Yes.
Any discussion? Is anybody online?
Michael Whitestack.
Go ahead, Michael.
So I've been looking through an export of from Nation Builder, and there are dozens of people in Madison that are in our membership database. That doesn't mean that they're all dues paying, and I'm going to have to look at our most recent reports, which will take me a couple more minutes, finance reports, but it will show Madison people there. So I think we can assume there are enough warm bodies in Madison to warrant being a chapter. I think the point of activity and officers and membership is a good one. That being said, we have not consistently enforced it in the past when we had sometimes had at most a few dozen active members. We may want to insist on that, but I believe there's a bit of a double standard here if we push that too hard. Pass.
Okay. Does anybody online have discussion?
Yeah, Mike is making comments, but they're going to me and all that. Zoom there.
Okay.
So Micah says, I think there should be some form of requirement for showing up to meetings, but completely dropping them would be counterproductive. We should
not try to unify we should try not just to unify our base, but to bring in even more coalition together, like the Socialist Liberation Group. There should be requirements for some at least showing up at meetings. So.
Okay.
But so Micah, yeah, there's a drop down. Instead of directing it to me, you should direct it to it. Yes.
And then Tommy.
Based on what we know now, that they do have more than 3 members, then I think we can just go ahead and go for accreditation.
Straight accreditation
Yeah.
instead of the, okay, so. Any other discussion on accrediting the 4 Lake Greens?
Stack, Bill.
Oh, go ahead, Bill.
I strongly support Michael White's proposal that we accredit the 4 Lakes Greens chapter.
Perfect. Okay, any stand asides? Okay, so we have 1 stand aside. Nobody online? Okay. Any objections?
Follow by our proposal.
So the proposal was changed to full accreditation, was what the original request would be. Okay, so that passes with 1 stand aside. No objections, right? Nobody objected online?
Not that I can see.
Okay, well, congratulations, all 3. And then Rita, did you want to present our newest member?
Actually, you can present it.
Okay, I don't want, so. Lauren, on the behalf of the Driftless Greens, the Greater Milwaukee Green Party made a little bag to welcome you.
It's a tabling bag.
Yep.
It's a what?
Tabling, it's for
Oh.
taking all the supplies for tabling.
Oh, awesome.
So, the Driftless Greens can start tabling with, what's in there,
Oh, there's a cover for the table that says Driftless Greens on it, and the Milwaukee, or the Wisconsin Green Party logo, the new one. And there's, even rocks there to hold down the flyers when it's windy, so.
Table.
They don't put any rocks. What's that?
We pulled it up here, see if we can get it up.
Ooh, look at that.
Camera for everybody. Well, thank you,
that's awesome.
That is outstanding, everyone. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
I think the Greater Milwaukee Greens are gonna be looking for some competition in their
Yeah,
membership
well.
game. So thank you so much, Rita, and the Greater Milwaukee Greens. That's an awesome welcome package for them. All right. So next we have the elections report. Is Pete Karas on? The real Pete Karas? Okay, he did send me a report. I was hoping. Yeah. I was hoping he'd be on, but he did send me the report.
It says that he's on, but it's me, actually.
Yeah, that's why it's a real Pete Karas. Okay. Does anybody else want to read the elections report that Pete had sent? So I don't have to keep talking. No. Okay.
Michael Whitestack.
Go ahead, Michael.
The only thing I would add to the elections report is that our election in District 1, as well as our participation in the state election, has drawn a lot of international attention. I wound up being interviewed by several news organizations, and there is an international group which observes and inspects elections. The United States is a participant in that group, and we had extended interviews with the examining team And I will get some preliminary information back, which I will share via email. The point being that what we are doing is having an impact, as evidenced by the fact that the Democrats keep attacking us, but it's having an impact at an international level in Spain, in France, in Germany. I would love to tell you it's having an impact in Argentina, from which I just returned, but in fact, I couldn't find a green in Argentina, even though I reached out in several ways. So I don't think they're as strong as we are. And with that, I'll pass.
Thanks, Michael.
I'm going to read the Elections Committee report on behalf of Pete Karras. We had a successful 2026 congressional campaign run with candidate Chester Todd. In terms of votes, Chester received 2.1% district-wide. We targeted certain wards, and in those wards, Chester received between 5 and 7% of the vote. We decided to target certain wards because of the limited resources compared to other candidates. In addition to the ground campaign, we ran YouTube and streaming TV ads. We accomplished our goal of engaging people and are working towards bringing those folks into the Green Party. We are working on recruiting candidates for both local and state elections. So far, we have recruited Jill Ferguson to run for governor, Pete Karras for Secretary of State, Buttons for Lieutenant Governor, Xavier Golden for Congress, and Micah for 4th District Congress. We are conversing with others to run for Assembly and send it in 2026. We are finalizing a presentation to the Green Party Coordinating Council on starting a separate fund for aiding candidates and an aggressive fundraising campaign. In addition, we are trying to build an infrastructure that will help each candidate, whether for local or state office. Our goal is to run as many candidates as possible. We hope most will be active candidates, but some may be placeholders on the ballot. We feel it is important that people have the option to vote for Green Party candidates. We are also coordinating with several people nationally and exchanging ideas about campaign schools, centralized video production, and other support for candidates. Hopes are high going forward, especially after the recent presidential election. Many people are looking for an alternative. We hope to give them that option in the state of Wisconsin.
Micah's on staff.
Okay, Micah, go ahead.
Oh, are you not able to unmute yourself?
Hello, everybody. How's it going? Thank you for having me today. Glad to be here. Yes, so for 2026, I would be honored again to run, hopefully not as a write-in this time, jumping in a month before, but as a on the paper type of candidate. My honest suggestion would be for us to coalition with as many third-party representatives that we can, even if we don't completely agree with them. It's very important for us to try to build third party as much as we can. I think that in 2026, if we have certain parts of Milwaukee or Madison that we don't have people running for, let's sponsor possibly the Socialist Liberation Group. Say, hey, you have someone in that. Let's promote you like you're one of our own. We should try to coalition possibly with independents that are more progressive. Whoever we can get for third party to really just advocate for third party politics in general, because I feel like the more that we bring in people who want to get out of the red and blue political spectrum, the better. So we got to just try to find some form of middle ground with those people. And I would even go far as to say on the federal level, if let's just say Jill Stein ran for office again, if she would hyper focus on the swing states, say for example, she did a lot more canvassing in Wisconsin than she would anywhere else. If she could win the state of Wisconsin, that could be permanent leverage that we hold the Democrats and Republicans saying, hey, we're turning these swing states into third party states. So if you want to possibly win the election, if we get all the swing states to go third party, or even if we get one, I feel like that's good leverage to show Republicans and Democrats that they got to start complying with our progressive policies. Otherwise, we're going to keep taking more of these swing states away. But at a local level, absolutely. I think that in 2026, we should try to coalition with as many other third parties as we possibly can. And I'm very excited to run again 2026 as long as y'all will have me. And it was a great run this time. So I'm excited to see how many people we get from that.
Thanks, Micah.
Michael Whitestack.
Hi, Michael.
To add what Micah just said and what Josh read on behalf of Pete, they got 2.1% across the whole district, despite all the money that was spent by the Democrats and the Republicans. But let me give you a benchmark. In 2016, Jill Stein got 32,000 votes for president. In 2024, she got 12,000. She got 0.36% of the vote cast. And in the district, we got 2.1% higher in those areas where we were able to canvass. So that just shows what the effort that Micah did, that Chester did, that Pete did, which all the people and the Greater Milwaukee Greens assisted in. People, the way to gather the future to capture the position we should be holding is local elections. And you all proved it this election. We need to focus on that moving forward. And I'll shut up. Pass.
Thanks, Barb.
Just a few things. While Jill Stein didn't get as many votes as she did in 2016, we did beat out the Libertarians, which was really interesting. We got more votes than they did, and they've been around longer, and they have all of this big corporate money as well. So we are making gains, even if we didn't get as many votes.
Is that statewide or national?
Statewide here in Wisconsin, we got more votes than the Libertarians. So I think that's a plus for us. The other thing I wanted to mention while we're on the subject of local campaigns and smaller races is that, like, Greater Milwaukee has 3 school board races up for elections. December 1st starts petitioning. Likely across the state, you have school board up for election. We have on our website a call to action for candidates to come and run for those races. I suggest that we all kind of pitch in and find those candidates if we can, just for this next year, and continue to search for those candidates for 2026 as well. And every spring we have conservation candidates, which is a unique thing to Wisconsin. Every county gets 5 delegates, and all you have to do is go to that meeting and show up with enough people who can basically vote for you. It's everybody in that room gets to vote for the next 2 representatives. They're on a rotational schedule in every single county, and it's like the first Monday after the election in April. So it's a great opportunity to sweep one thing as Greens. And I've got information up there on the Greater Milwaukee Green Party website on how to do that. And you can also propose questions that can become legislation as well. So I put that up there as more information on that too.
Perfect. Yeah, and thanks for calling out the spring elections too. I think we forget about those. Those aren't partisan, but definitely want to get some Greens in at all levels of government. And sometimes it's easier for those nonpartisan races.
I noticed, I didn't realize that. I voted Tuesday. There were quite a few partisan offices at the county level. Registered deeds, stuff like that. And I really never paid attention. So the importance of that is we need nonpartisan local ballots. It's important, but we need to get stuff on our state ballot. Yeah. And that's just at the county level, fine, as long as we're identified as Greens. Yeah. And we need people running for the assembly. Probably be the easiest way to get into the state legislature.
Tom, did you have a?
Yeah, before we get off elections, I just thought some people don't know about Micah's run. And I don't want, maybe Micah could announce it, just cover that he jumped in late, it's a write-in, you know. Micah, do you want to just give an overview and then tell us what your plans are? Well, okay, so Micah did get a little ground game going. He also did some videos. He's got the capability of doing that. We put in significant hours on it, and we did door to door in River West primarily, and then he did some in his neighborhood also. And he's planning to run. He's ready to run again in Congressional District 4. Not, you know, he's flexible.
Absolutely. Yes, I would love to run again for District 4 as long as you'll have me. Obviously, we'll have more than enough time to, not make me a write-in to be on the ballot. And yeah, I'm still just, in every way I can. I do have a good online presentation with other things that I've been doing throughout the years because a lot of people know me for I was a metal vocalist, funnily enough, for over a decade. So a lot of people recognize me for that. I try to bring a lot of those metalheads to vote third party because a lot of metalheads are very anti-establishment. So it's a good crowd to appeal to. I have an online presentation on Twitch that I try to let my online community on there to know to always vote green and to possibly even run in their own state. I have a lot of friends in Texas online who I'm really trying to push to run for the Greens in Texas. So I'll be definitely focusing on that and just kind of showing them the power of, hey, I jumped in a month before the race as a write-in. I did some hard work and, pulled out maybe hopefully a few hundred votes my way and, just trying to influence people to run in their own state. And obviously just working at a local level too with online presentation and working with Tom, who's always been really great, guiding me through it every step of the way and the rest of the Milwaukee Greens just always helping in every way they can. So I was really appreciative of all of you who really put in the effort to show that you took this as seriously as I do. That really meant a lot. And I would love again to run for 2026. And you just point me in the direction, throw me to the wolves, and I'm down for it. So yes, it was really great. And I'll definitely be right back to it. Canvassing, online presentation, anything that I can do to, push people to the left, to the progressive base and just doing everything I can to unify third parties in general. That's one thing that I'm really going to try to make a goal is whether they're independents or even if they're libertarians, even if they're or especially if they're socialists, and socialists are the ones that mostly align with green ideals, but just doing everything I can to bring everybody into the fold, to coalition together locally if we don't have certain people for districts, to make sure that we support the independents or the socialists or the whoever third party members, to say, hey, we don't agree on everything, but we agree with some of your stuff, so you're better than the red or the blue. So I'll be trying to do that a lot more. And yeah, I would love to have the honor to run 2026 again if y'all will have me.
Thanks. Bobby, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, thanks for taking my raised hand there. Now, what I wanted to say is what my intention here in Stevens Point, Central Wisconsin, would be not just getting names on the ballot, not just getting the Green Party on the ballot with names, but rather building a chapter around very concrete real policy proposals, okay? And I'm going to break it down in 3 ways here. Because this campus is a premier, I would say, environmental studies, right? Wildlife, groundwater, botany, all the related fields dealing with life sciences is very strong in that. And we have a very active climate movement, I guess you would say, a sort of coalition group active in the city that meets pretty regularly. And so what I would do is build around policy, in 3 areas that can be real impact on carbon emission. one of which is what they call in Europe eco-social housing. This is public housing that is built specifically to have a low carbon footprint, okay? Both in the building process as well as the getting off the natural gas power for electricity and heat. Now, that's a big challenge, admittedly, and it will take a lot of money from the state legislature to do this. But it could certainly have an impact on carbon emissions from Wisconsin. Next thing is obviously public transit, mass transit. And again, attempting to build a system that covers the whole state, which we did briefly have. We briefly had regional transit authority legislation in the statute for 2 years, from 2009 through 11. Well, you know, Scott Koch brother Walker had the legislature strip that out of the Act 10 right away. First thing they did practically, so that you know, the continued dependence on personal automobiles that are fired by fossil fuel would continue indefinitely. So that's a policy area that again would demand immense amounts of public funding from our legislature. Okay. And then the third change is in the shift away from chemicalized agribusiness to what's now being called regenerative agriculture. The idea is that, and believe me, we just had a very packed room at our Land and Water Conservation Committee this week at the county board committee. We're just packed with farmers and people who are concerned on groundwater. Okay, so the way it works is that ag, as it's now practiced, is a huge carbon emitter, both in terms of the machinery used to do the work, and then the off-gassing of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere from highly tilled. When you highly till the soil, that oxidizes, it off-gases. So a shift on a big scale, again, in Wisconsin throughout the state, once again, going to require a lot of public funds so that farmers who want to make these changes can be somewhat subsidized and not have to lose a tremendous amount of money from a drop in their yield. And one of our water experts did a whole chart at the meeting that I mentioned, showing how chemical nitrate, which is made through fossil fuels, the chemical nitrate leaches out of the soil right away down into the groundwater, and then it poisons community wells and so forth. But not only that, it's only useful in promoting a certain amount of the yield with these farmers that have to grow genetically modified corn to feed the animals. Okay, so all those three policy areas are things that a local chapter could really hit hard on and really bring the student population who are, there's a very active chapter of 350 here with nationwide reputation for some of the things they've done. So we bring the students and the community together, and that's what I have to say.
Thanks, Bobby. It sounds like those are not only good things to start a chapter on, but maybe for a candidate to run on.
Yeah, that's my point, exactly.
Do we have anybody else on Stack Online? No? No? So this is some rare words in Green Party meeting history. We are on time. So we are scheduled now to take a 15-minute break. There's lots of questions. There's snacks for those here in the back. Otherwise, bathrooms also towards the back. And online, we'll see you guys back in 15 minutes.
Michael Stack. Hey, Tiffany.
Yes. Hello? Is there?
Yeah, hey Tiffany, it's Michael. I just, my brother's reunion starts or not reunion, celebration of light starts in an hour. So I'll probably go in offline in about 30 minutes. And I won't be able to participate in the last part of the meeting. Just thought I'd let people know ahead of time.
Anything you want to announce before you leave? You want me
Only
to-
I've sent out, only that I sent out by email to the coordinating council wanting to run again for co-chair and continue as the District 3 rep with Lauren totally supporting as the Driftless Greens rep. There's other things, but nothing that's worth bringing up at the meeting. And I apologize for not being able to be there in person.
Well, thank you, Michael.
Sam,
our
Stack.
sympathies go to you. Sam?
I have some, yeah, I'll just let the 15-minute break so everyone can kind of, take a break and debrief. But I have some things I want to address and maybe propose. So, but I'll speak after the break.
Okay, thank you.
Regarding public education. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll see you at 2:15. The mic is live now here. Okay. So it's 2:15. We're gonna get started again. It's actually after 2:15. Everybody online back?
Everyone's back? Or are we waiting on anyone?
Say one of the joys of an in-person meeting is everybody getting to meet each other. One of the drawbacks is everybody getting to meet each other and having all that excitement in the room. Hard to get going back, so. All right, the next thing on our agenda is our coordinating council items. And Micah, if you don't mind if we put yours, what you want to speak about closer to the closing to make sure that we get our coordinating council nominations in. It was Sam. Oh, Sam, I'm sorry,
Oh,
Sam.
yeah, so one thing I wanted to talk about, and I mentioned this in the chat, but, so I think right now there's a court case to restore the right of collective bargaining. It's taken about a year, but now it's being filed by the Supreme Court, and I think the Green Party at the very least should maybe look at Jill's lawyers and see if they can help. I think that's one thing we should do. Also, I think that on our website, we should unequivocally announce our support for trans people and LGBTQ people. One of the reasons, I'm not going to say who, but one of the reasons Stein did not receive my vote personally is because of Butch Ware's views on that issue. But yeah, I think that, maybe we could talk about that. And then in Gaza, I think that we should start having the at least conversation of having a march on the UN, because we saw what happened with MLK and his marches and how effective they were. I think that if we start an actual march and on the groups, marching and, not just saying, this is what we support ceasefire now, but like a consequential march on the United Nations. I don't know if the Wisconsin Green Party has the resources. I don't know the protocol, but this is something we need to be doing. I've even talked to people about having Jill march on Tel Aviv or Israel. Start where the problem, I know that would cause a lot of safety concerns, and I understand the arguments against that. But at the very least, I think a march on the UN to demand the arrest of Bibi, that should be on our agenda.
Okay, so let's see. So I know with the trans issues, that is definitely something that our policy committee can take a look at and, see what we have already in our policies, and maybe work with the communications committee to put up some sort of posting. March on UN, I think that is definitely more of a national issue than a Wisconsin issue. And we will have some representatives voted on to be able to maybe bring that to our National Green Party. And then as Wisconsin, we can definitely back, we can vote on to back what the National Green Party decides to do on. Sound good, Sam?
So can we take any action on the collective bargaining, or is that also, it is literally a state issue. So I feel like that's the one thing that never gets brought up, is fucking having the rights for fucking to negotiate. Can we like vote on having resources allocated to that, or at the very least an endorsement?
I'm not super familiar with all of that. At this point, we can definitely bring it back to the coordinating council as well, who can make decisions as to not eat up today's time. Unfortunately, the agenda was set, but definitely if you can type up an email, we could get that on next month's coordinating council meeting, and you're of course invited to speak on it as well, so that we can come up with a game plan that way. Okay?
All right.
All right. I don't want to make you feel unheard, because you're definitely heard, but unfortunately limited time, and if we do get through these items earlier, that could be something we discuss towards the end, okay?
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna start with the coordinating council nominations. So the first one here on the agenda is the co-chair, 2-year term. Michael White, I'm not sure if he's still on, but he did self-nominate himself for the 2-year co-chair term. I will say in our bylaws, it does not allow for 2 terms in a row. However, Michael has only spent a couple months as co-chair, as our previous co-chair had left, so he helped us out with that. So I don't, there's nothing specific in our thing, in our bylaws, so I agree with that. Anybody else?
You said, you can only serve 2 terms in case.
They can only,
in a row.
they cannot serve more than 1 term in a row. Yes, however, I feel like it's an exception considering he spent only like 3 months as co-chair for the.
We made an exception.
And we have made exceptions, it is previously. Anybody else looking to run for co-chair? Yes.
So, our bylaws, I'm not sure they say that you can only be elected to 1 term at a time, or you can only serve 1 term at a time. I don't know if it makes too much of a difference there, but I know the part about coordinating council, being able to appoint people to serve those positions in the interim, they're supposed to be like affirmed by the whole membership.
Yes, so this term was up today, so the second co-chair position, which I will be putting my nomination or be asking to be confirmed for 1-year term, so that would be up next fall meeting.
Okay, so then we're just gonna have them go for a whole term instead of like a perfect.
Correct, yes. Yes, he is being, nominated for the 2-year term.
Michael Stack.
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm back on. I had a diversion related to the upcoming memorial for my brother. I concur with everything you said. And given that I was confirmed to fill somebody else's position, I think I'm entitled to run this cycle as well. And I appreciate everyone's support. Pass.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay.
Yep, Dave.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to point out more of a point of process that it's difficult to hear a lot of the people who are in the room there over the Zoom. And there could be different ways to address that. But I feel like maybe the easiest, so right now in my field of view, there's what I think is the left side of the room from Tiffany's perspective. And yes. And it seemed like when people were kind of in the front row there and kind of enunciating, then we could hear them better. When folks are out off the camera, you know, for us, and maybe further back in the room, it can be hard to hear. Like when Barbara was speaking, I couldn't really make out what she was saying.
And you'll have to stand, people in the back.
Yep.
Stand.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out. So we will have people either come closer to the microphone or make sure we repeat it.
Yeah. And earlier on, it wasn't even clear to me like who was speaking at sometimes. So I just think in terms of being able to have an effective discussion here, we need to figure this out because, it's obviously problematic if we can't literally hear each other. So yeah, and certainly people getting closer to whatever microphones you have picking things up, I'm sure could only help, but I just wanted to flag that. And you can try different things. I'm not saying everyone has to move seats or whatever, but I want to make sure that we can try to make this work. Pass.
Nope. Thank you, Dave. We really appreciate that. We want to make sure everybody is heard. So Barb was just confirming how the process was working because there are usually 2-year term, or the co-chair is a 2-year term. And because both me and Michael were appointed by the CC to the co-chair positions, she was wondering how that worked. So Michael, who was appointed just a few months ago, is running for a 2-year term. And then on the next agenda item, I will be asking for confirmation to continue on for 1 year going forward. So my position would be up at the next, or if I get confirmed, would be up at the next fall meeting. Okay. And anybody else want to nominate, self-nominate for co-chair? All right. And all of these votes, I should probably make it clear, we do vote online via OPA votes. So make sure you up your membership, because that will be sent out to all members in Wisconsin, all of our WIGP members, to vote online via OPA votes. So keep an eye on your email. We'll try to get that out tomorrow. And then we have 1 week to vote. So the second one is I am asking to be confirmed for an appointment of 1 year. I'm not sure really how that works. Do we then, that goes through OPA votes as well, I would assume.
Point of order.
Go ahead.
So the bylaws allow the coordinating council to appoint each of us to our positions subject to a confirming vote by the general membership. So basically what we're asking for is confirmation of that position by the general membership at the vote to be held with coincident with this meeting. So you've done everything right. It's just we're asking for that to be confirmed. Now, I don't know what the heck would happen if they didn't confirm it. You know, no, you really weren't the co-chair for the last 5 months, but that's really the mechanism as I understand it from the bylaws.
Okay. So, all right. Go ahead, Barb, speak louder.
Can we just waive the bylaw on this one and confirm Tiffany right now?
Really?
By consensus?
Yeah, by consensus.
Okay, so any
Michael
second?
Stack. And Dave, put Dave ahead of me.
So Dave, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wanted to remind folks, and I posted this from the bylaws earlier, that all decisions need to be put to the membership, and we do that by sending out, ballots online to all of our members in good standing. So yeah, all these decisions and elections need to be done in the same way. And so I think, that makes sense just to put it on the same ballot. And, to answer a question that came up, well, in a hypothetical case that the membership did not approve a decision, then we need to decide where to go from there. If a position is unfilled, then we need to try to fill it. But yeah, again, just wanted to point to those bylaws and just make sure that we're following that procedure. Pass.
Thanks for the points. So we have Michael White, Rita, Josh, Bruce. So Michael White?
I'm going to pass because Dave said most of what I was going to say. Other than that, I like the idea of just going ahead and say, go ahead and do it. But we should stick with our bylaws. Pass.
Okay, I want to point out, first of all, that we approved doing OPA vote for the elections by using OPA vote. So we approved a new bylaw by using the new bylaw, and we did not waive those. So I think that just because they're in the bylaws right now, doesn't make it something that we can't change right now and just say, we waived the bylaws and we're going to approve this right now. Secondly, our bylaws do say, and they have said for a long time, that this meeting cannot conduct any business unless we have 15% quorum, 15% of the membership. So I'm who is responsible for telling us whether we have 15% of the membership right now? Okay.
Thanks, Rita.
Michael White, stack.
Josh, did you have? Okay, Josh passes, so go ahead, Michael White.
I think that it's correct for voting, you have to have 15% of the membership participating, but I'm not sure you have to have 15% of the membership present, of all the membership present at a gathering like this. Even if that were the case, we would have a hard time doing it because our data set is in bad enough shape that we'd have a hard time with the resources available verifying how many members we have. So what's the denominator? And with that, I'll pass. Bill Brian is stack also.
Direct response to that? Oh, there, it is right here. Official business at a properly convened membership meeting may be conducted if there are at least 15% of the members in good standing present at the meeting. Okay. And so I would say that if you're waiving that bylaw, we can waive and say, if there's consensus for the elections, then we can go with that.
Okay, did everybody hear what Rita said online?
It was garbled a little bit, but yeah, I got.
I said that I read the bylaws that say official business at a properly convened membership meeting may be conducted if there are at least 15% of the members in good standing present at the meeting. And if we are waiving that bylaw, we could also waive the bylaw and that says that we have to use OPA vote for everything, and we can make decisions here at this meeting with the people present that we are the core members of the Wisconsin Green Party, and we can say we can vote for our leadership right here.
And then
Hey,
I would
Rita,
like to
I
have
love
the
working
floor,
with you.
please.
Thank you.
I would like to have the floor. I'm on stack.
so
Bill?
Bill and then Tom.
All right. Rita is correct that we used OPA vote to move to OPA vote, but that was in the context of a pandemic. We took a number of measures to move our activism online for that period of time. I've read through some of the changes proposed for the bylaws, and I think there's a lot of really good ideas in there. But I think we really do need to stick to our bylaws as they are written. And if those changes in the bylaws go through, some of what Rita and others are in favor of will be effectuated. So I'll pass on that.
Thank you, Bill. Tom and then Bruce.
Okay, usually in preparation for these meetings, there was a big effort. There was a big effort put in by people behind the scenes on Nation Builder to come up with a membership list, a list of paid up members using queries on Nation Builder. And then there was another effort that was put in to get people to renew. So we need to know how long are you going to allow people to renew before they vote on OPA vote? Can they renew during the voting period? Are you going to cut it off today? Are you going to cut it off tomorrow? But the point is, we knew how many paid members there were, and I have not heard a total. Let's get a total. What's the number of paid members in the Nation Builder database right now? Otherwise, how do we know what a quorum is? We don't know the paid members. What's the number?
So then we have Bruce, and I can't see who put their name on stack on the computer.
Well, can anyone directly respond to the question?
Oh, and does anyone have a response to Tom's question of how many members are currently
Dave has a rate
registered?
Is the treasurer know? Is the treasurer?
Or membership?
Oh, the secretary.
The treasurer should be the one that does it.
Okay. Who? Joe Nathan, it's being requested if you have the number for how many current members there are in the WIGP.
I don't know Nation Builder well enough to do these inquiries and get these numbers. So I do have access, and it lets me see specific individuals. I don't have the technical capacity at this point to get these lists passed.
All right, thanks.
Dave has it.
So, was that your
No.
hand? Okay, so then we have Bruce, Josh, Dave, and that's who had stacked on the computer?
Okay, Tom sent out an email this morning. No, yesterday. Basically concerned with how are we gonna run this vote? Who's gonna run this? I mean, you could better, I mean, you know, this is the whole that thing. But Tom would be better person to explain what the issues are.
So, as far as who's running it, I think me, Michael White, and Pete have access to OPA vote. So we'd be the ones getting together and submitting the forms out. And then we'd also get the data to tabulate the results. As we're running, I do understand that can be, I guess.
But who's
room for
actually
corruption.
doing it? Dave, Michael, you?
So it's me, Mike, and Pete, and I know I do not have the math skills to do what we have to do as far as the ranked choice voting that OPA vote is not set up. So I believe it would be the three of us working together to make sure that those results are all tabulated.
You know
I would
about the majoritarian criteria in the bylaws?
So I've read those, and again, that's what I don't have.
It seems like if we're gonna run an
Yeah.
election, we should have someone knowledgeable.
Yep, so I think Pete and we would get help
Okay, I mean,
from
are
whoever,
you using
yep, and we would-
Scottish single transferable vote? That's some of the questions that are in here.
Okay.
Do people here understand? There was a discussion at one point that all our internal elections are done with a majoritarian bias, which is this none of the above thing. But that our external elections are done proportionally. And I didn't know what that meant, but so I assume the external ones would be for the NC, because that's at the GPUS level, right? So you have to have a different algorithm. So you don't do the approval. I think what we were doing was we were doing approval voting first to deal with the majoritarian filter. That would eliminate people. And then the next step would be Scottish, single transferable ranked choice vote. But you know, it's like, shouldn't the people know what the election structure is going to be? What else? Okay. Anonymous ballots, yes or no? How are you going to handle someone voting in a district that's not their district? I can argue both sides. I could say if you have a non-anonymous ballots, you can find out who's cheating, but we know that's not going to scale.
Well, the district election, so like the ones that are going to just like CD4, those are sent out separately to those who are in our system under like CD4. So that would be a separate ballot. At least that's how they've done it in the past.
Oh, they send them out to separate.
Yes, so any
Okay.
district that you have somebody running would be a separate.
Okay, well,
ballot.
that seems like a good idea. Okay. Oh, and then the other thing, when you're done with the election, so people can learn from this, you need to archive the ballots, and archive the election races. You can store that on Nation Builder, so the next crew that come through, because they delete it after 90 days. And then who's going to be auditing this? You can't just have one person looking at the results, but just one person setting it up. So you have 3 people.
Yes.
Oh, and then just a small point, which is we had a donor who came in and did not have an email. And I'm just telling you, there's a way of workaround. Assassination Builder. I think give him a link and then he can, you know, anyhow, it's just a
Okay.
weird.
Okay, yeah, and
Okay.
we can definitely go through
So,
that.
you know, I just feel like
No,
that's the way the election should run. You should tell people what's gonna happen. And it sounds like you don't know. I mean,
Dave is on stack.
so it was, I think, Josh and then Dave.
I just want to speak to the quorum issue, last membership.
Talk louder.
Last membership meeting, you stated that we have 85 members, so I would just move that we would get settled that on the state threshold for membership, and that, you know, based on people online and people this room, I believe, with me that forum, so I would move that we, you know, accept that as quorum. And then my second thing, I just want to state that our current leadership is not the leadership that necessarily set up Oval and knows it inside and out. It was previous leadership who kind of, I mean, just to be frank about this meeting. So I think right now we're trying to pick up the pieces that what our current bylaws are on the state. So, you know, I think there's real questions to be answered as far as how it's going to run and how it's going to operate. But I just want to remember, like, Michael, like, these were not the leadership at the time who set this up. A lot of people on the CC were not the people who did that. So a lot of us, this is our first go around with elections and using local vote. So, you know, as we figure this out, I just want to know that we need a little bit of grace and like figuring out how it's going to operate. Yes.
All right, and then Dave.
Yeah, thanks for that, Josh. I agree fully. And so, you know, I think speaking of like a little bit of grace, just to mention that usually in the past, you know, we would have our fall gathering, not the weekend after the election, but a week after that, because there is a lot of prep work that needs to be done. And it's very difficult to go from campaign mode and then, you know, election day and the you know, the aftermath to immediately pulling together a state meeting, you know, days after that. So I think, you know, there's no one really to blame here because, you know, a lot of not everyone can make it, but a lot of the people who are most involved are in the room and people have been busy and we, you know, there are things like figuring out who exactly is on the membership list. I mean, I can look in Nation Builder and I'm seeing that, you know, considering the grace period, it looks like since last October 1st, 2023, there are 104 people who have donated in some form. That said, I don't even know how many of those people are in Wisconsin. And, you know, there's a lot of administrative work that needs to be done in preparation. And, you know, I agree that the questions about OPA vote are certainly important. And those are things that, again, we need to get together, folks who are going to be helping administer the election and figure those out. Yeah, and I had also been asked to help with that, and you know, I had offered to help as well. And I feel like basically the more the merrier in terms of you know, officers getting involved and figuring out the answers to, you know, some of the technical questions. But I don't think that, I mean, it feels like we're already getting well behind schedule, and we have bylaws again that state pretty clearly that decisions should be made by the full membership via online ballot. And, you know, we have at least people who are going to work on these issues, you know, who's eligible to vote and how are we going to set up the ballots. So I feel like it's not a great use of our time right now to really dig down to the details. Yeah, ideally we would have had another week to work some of these things out before meeting, but that didn't happen. So yeah, like I said, I'm happy to help, pending availability. I sent an email earlier about sort of what my availability is going to be like in the next few days, to work on this. And, you know, I think we can make it happen. And so, yeah, I would propose that we, you know, obviously continue to work on the process, but that for right now, we focus on the business at hand on the agenda. Pass.
I see Kingfisher on staff, and then we have a couple proposals that were on the floor. Oh, and then Josh.
I can take my proposal off the floor if it moves things along.
Thanks, Barb. Okay, so Kingfisher, Josh.
Hey, I just wanted to stick with what Dave said and stick to the agenda, though. I walked near a Democratic meeting this morning, and they're circulating nomination papers. And it would be great if we could do that, Micah, and interested candidates. Democrats are already doing that. We should too, if we can. Pass.
Thank you. And then Josh.
To move this along, I have a proposal. Since there are real questions that we were in the ad hoc committee, propose recommendations on how we handle elections for next year. Look at how we're handling our elections, for elections, and propose some suggestions on how to go forward with for next year.
All right. Thank you. So Josh had a proposal on the floor that we confirm this quorum based off on the fact that we had 85 members last membership meeting. And we have over 15% via online and in person. So anybody second that proposal? Okay, Rita seconds that. Any discussion needed on that?
I'm not happy with not knowing who's a member and who's not a member. And it's crazy that we are not prepared. I mean, what's going on with our coordinating council? You know, there's so many things that we're not having. It's frustrating. You know, now we're going to elect a new coordinating council. I stand aside on this. Okay.
Say and
I think, yeah, we're an electoral body.
Josh is on staff. So Josh.
Well, I just want to state, like, there's been a lot of turnover in this position. I think, you know, like one of our members who cares is not here, so I mean, that is something, again, you know, if there is questions about how the CC is doing business, we're able to run for election now or for the CC and make the changes that we want to see. Again, remember, we're all volunteers. We're doing our best. You know, to speak on just me out as co-chair, she's working 2 jobs, working over 8 hours a week. You know, without many hands working on this, we don't know. And I agree with those basic things like all the current members we have, but given the turmoil that we experienced this last year on the CC, no way. Just remember, we're all trying.
Anybody else on staff on discussion?
During the last year, we had a lot of people resign.
So 85 is based off of what it was at the spring election, correct? The last membership meeting.
Yeah, people should come up.
Dave.
Bill can't hear you.
Dave did just say that he saw 104 donations, which you can't verify if they're from in-state or whatnot. So that's why Josh proposed confirming this quorum based on our last real number of 85. Anybody else on staff? Okay. Oh, Tom.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know that I want to make a motion.
You gotta stand up and talk loud.
I'm not necessarily making a motion, but I'm thinking out loud that what we could do is get this, do it right, do the election right, have it out in the open, have you guys tell us how it's going to be done. And there's a question about the NC delegates. Are you going to use majoritarian
Wait,
there?
that's not the proposal on the floor.
I know, I'm just telling you that thinking out loud,
Okay,
and
you
there needs to be some time to express this. Bruce,
Not membership. You just go to that first, complete that.
well, I'm addressing the issue about the election.
Okay. So what I can say is
Did we finish with the motion then?
Nope.
It's being addressed, so
nope,
that's
so the
still
motion is
on the
that
floor.
we are proposing that we can go off of the 85 number. We have hit quorum over 15% using that 85 number to make sure this is a valid meeting.
So I am addressing that. It's like, to do it right, you do it right. You have the queries, you show your work, and you say, look, a member is somebody who's paid, and we can extend the period of time that they renew. Put it all out in the open, give us a report on how you're gonna do the elections. You're inventing the election right while you're doing the election. Or, what do you have between now and Sunday afternoon to get this all?
Once the
worked out?
ballot goes out, it's 7 days according to the bylaws,
But what I'm
correct?
saying is, get all this resolved by tomorrow.
Putting together the ballot?
When you have to put together all the races, all the instructions, you have to resolve the issue of what, like my question about the NC vote versus the other vote. Are you going to use approval voting? Are you just going to use Scottish single transfer?
Dave, who?
Dave's on.
Okay, and Dave, while you're speaking, can you address some, because I think you were part of the counts in the last membership meeting, correct?
So, sorry, part of what?
Counting the votes and the elections in the last membership meeting, the last election.
I don't recall off the top of my head. I mean, that would have been spring, and given that I was working on the campaign, I was already doing less for WIGP. So I honestly can't answer that off the top of my head right now, but I have used OPA before. And yeah, I think, honestly, I don't think that we can have this figured out by tomorrow, nor do we need to. Again, in the past, we had an additional week from the end of the election before the fall gathering, and that gave us more time to deal with administrative issues. So, I don't think we need to get paralyzed right now over it. I put in the chat, okay, so I found 104 donors who have given since October 1st, 2023. Even assuming that all 104 are members in good standing, which I'm not saying we should assume that, but if they were, we would need 16 members for quorum. And I believe we have that. So that's first of all. And, regarding the election issues, again, I think we do have to grapple with some questions. And yeah, so it's valid to have questions. But I don't think we need to answer them all right now. Again, I think we're basically putting together a committee to work on the election administration, and we could potentially add more people to help with that. Because I think we can certainly more than one person can have access to the software. So yeah, I think we just need to find some time where we can get together to work these things out. And then, we can communicate that to the membership. And we can get, we can get the vote started. But again, honestly, I don't think it's going to happen immediately after this meeting or by tomorrow afternoon. I just think we need a little bit of time to do it right. And, once we do, we'll send out the ballots. We'll give the 7 days, and and then we'll have the results. And I think it'll all be okay. So, yeah, again, I would really suggest that we not spend all our time, discussing and debating our internal processes, and we should stick to our agenda. Pass.
Okay, thanks. So, just quick time check. It is just about 3 o'clock. We should be on our bylaw amendment discussion right now. So, let's get this wrapped up. We have Mike McAllister, Lorraine, and then Tom. So go ahead, Mike.
Just on a point of information, right now we have the 11 people or 13 people listed as being online right now. I am seeing 6 people in my field of vision in the room. That would obviously be more than 16. Even with Tom and Rita being in both places at once. If somebody could take account of who is there, I would appreciate it for the minutes. Pass.
Okay. And there is 10 people here, including Rita and Tom, who have, I think, 2 who are also online.
That gets us to 21.
Okay. So I think the so we do meet 15% even, including the higher number of 104. So Josh's proposal is no longer needed. Do you send your proposal?
Well, my proposal is on the consent
Okay. So everybody accepts that we're a quorum. I think we've discussed this. Am I missing anybody as far as discussion on this proposal?
You have time to figure out if we're a quorum.
He just said
What I'm saying though is that we extend the election out.
Well, we just did the math, so we are at quorum.
That 104.
Which is, we're more than 15%, which means that 104 is the top number.
Yeah.
So we have surpassed what the top number could be, so we are at quorum.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Is this about the membership?
Yeah,
meeting quorum?
Yeah, no, it's a direct response to Dave. Basically, I like what Dave said, but what I would like from
and make sure you're talking loud.
What I'd like from the group that's working on the election is a report back on what you decided, so you memorialize it for the next group, so it's documented what you came up with, so that educate the membership on ranked choice voting. I mean, a lot of people don't know how it works, so tell them why you decided what you decided.
How you're going to implement.
What that done on the software level.
Okay, so we can make sure that we reset 2 votes and how it would go.
Separate report, not.
That's fine, and hopefully, or possibly after our bylaws are passed, we won't need it going forward either. Okay, so. Was there another proposal on we are still working, so we accept quorum. Any stand aside still? Any objections? Okay, we confirmed we are quorum. This meeting is all legit. Okay, so Lauren.
So I just had a question of clarification based off what Dave and Josh say. So it sounds like my understanding is that there's talk about there being the committee, and they're gonna figure out how many members we have for sure, and that ballots and prep, that there's gonna be a report on all that, and then the ballots will. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh,
And I think there was a proposal, but we already kind of had the group of people set as far as officers. Did you still want separate ad hoc?
I will remove mine.
Okay, perfect. Sorry. So it sounds like it'll be me, Michael, Dave, and Pete going through the OPA vote to calculate, and we'll make sure that's sent out with direction. So that would be the committee going through, and if there's any questions, I believe in transparency, so we can go through. Okay. So far, to go back to our elections, we have Michael White self-nominated for co-chair. I have requested confirmation of my appointment to co-chair for the 1 year. We have elections treasurer, and Pete Harris has requested to be nominated for elections treasurer. Is there anybody else wanting to self-nominate or nominate somebody else for elections?
Is that what Bob Gifford is doing?
No, but there is operations treasurer is what Bobby Gifford is currently doing. So there's separate like reporting that needs to be done for elections.
I was gonna run for that.
Rita for.
I didn't know that I was gonna run for it.
Okay. Did you still want to run for it? And I think with OPA vote, if you decide to run for like an officer position and you are not selected, or you can also put your name down for like an at-large or CD rep. If you are elected to that officer position, then your name would be removed from that, or like the whatever, like your votes would go to the next person on the ranked choice. So you can, so if you want to challenge?
Well, I didn't realize it was gonna run. Okay.
Okay.
I will withdraw on all runs.
Okay, so. Oh, go ahead, Bill.
Having served as operations treasurer for 5 years and having the campaign treasurer position sometimes be vacant, I just like to express my excitement at the prospect of Pete stepping forward to fill that position. It is it's a job. It's a job, and it requires some diligence, sticking at the reporting and the communications with the state. Those bureaucrats out there are not our friends, and I am really quite happy with Pete stepping forward, just to note that.
Thank you, and I think Pete did our last report as well, so he's already had some practice helping us out. Okay, so last call for anybody else nominating for elections treasurer. Alrighty. Operations treasurer. Anybody want to self-nominate or nominate somebody else to be operations treasurer?
Perhaps we should explain what that's about, for anybody that doesn't know. It's pretty simple. It's just for a lot of paperwork, reporting and things required for a political party, especially if you're running federal candidates. And that position was created because sometimes the paperwork can be a little bit more than one person can handle. So we split, a while back, we split elections treasurer, the person that takes care of all local funds and memberships, from the person who fills out all the state and federal paperwork.
Thank you. So any self-nominations for operations treasurer? Is Bobby still on the call? Bobby, can I nominate you to continue your role as operations treasurer? Do you accept? Oh, thumbs up from him. Okay, so Bob Gifford is nominated for operations treasurer. Recording secretary. Any nominations for recording?
I'll self-nominate for recording secretary.
So Rita self-nominated. I think somebody who's currently on the coordinating council had a nomination come through email. All that.
Uh,
Okay. Go ahead, Mike.
I self-nominate for
Okay.
recording secretary.
Okay, so Mike has self-nominated for recording secretary. Our first contested race. Okay, anybody else? Okay, so we have Mike McAllister and Rita Maniotis nominated. Corresponding secretary. And I will say our PO box, we just renewed in Madison. So I saw that Dave did take care of that. Josh, you wanna?
No, I would say.
Oh. Dave, will you accept a nomination to continue as corresponding secretary?
Sure.
All right, anybody else? Okay, so Dave Schwab is nominated for corresponding secretary, okay. Now we have congressional district representatives. So we have 8 different districts. So we'll start with District 1. And I think Chester Todd had sent in his, Chester Todd would like to run for 1st district. Anybody else 1st district want to nominate someone or self-nominate? Okay, so Chester Todd for 1st district. District 2. District 2.
That's the Madison area, right?
I have to pull up my.
James Beckner, would you be willing to be representative for 2nd district?
Sorry, I wasn't quite following that.
Would you be willing to be the representative of the 2nd district? You're in the 2nd district?
If that's Madison.
2nd congressional district? Do you be willing
Yeah, I mean, but Dave has more experience than me. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I could be corresponding secretary and Dave could be representative. I mean, because I've been out of the loop for a few months with a new job, but you know, whatever people think I can do.
I have confidence in you, James. Would you be willing to be a representative? CC?
I mean, if that meant that I could help revitalize the Four Lakes Green Party and, you know, work with Dave and learn the ropes, then yeah. What do you think, Dave?
No way.
I'm sorry?
No way.
Who's talking there?
Sam, was that a sarcastic no way or a serious no way? Wow.
I'm sorry, I don't know who's saying that, but that's
Okay. Well, we will be having a vote too, so.
Bobby has his hand raised, by the way.
Okay, go ahead, Bobby.
Oh, yeah, regarding the District 3, I'm wondering if that could be, decided at a later date after a, chapter gets rolling so that, I'm not the organizer and the immediate instant district rep as well. I think that wouldn't be a good way to cultivate leadership, you know what I'm saying? Want to have people that want to be engaged at all levels. That's my
So this
point.
CC can appoint other CC members to be affirmed at the next membership meeting. So if somebody comes up from one of these CDs that are currently vacant and wants to be on the CC, we can review that and appoint them, and then at the next membership meeting, they would be confirmed. Josh, did you?
Just to let you know, if you have a chapter, get a membership at your chapter and at the bylaws. That's the block. The chapter, so block you get one member, then they also get for.
Okay, so did we have James accept the nomination for CD2?
Yeah, although it's kind of a confusing process and I'm not sure.
Nope, so we will vote on it via OPA vote. We're just taking nominations.
Yeah, as long as I, have the confidence of whatever's left of the 4-leg screens, whatever that means.
Yeah, and just so you know, CD is any dues paying like eligible, current Green Party member in that district would receive the ballot. So even if they're not a member of the 4 elites, if they're in CD2, they'd receive the ballot to vote yes or no on your, on getting you on the CC.
Okay, thank you.
District 3? Anybody in District 3 that wants to?
District 3.
Oh, that was District 3?
Yeah, Bobby.
Oh, Bobby, so we don't currently have a District 3? Yep.
Isn't that the church?
Yeah. But you're already on this.
I'm the
You're the
chapter representative.
Right.
I believe Michael was, had requested to be nominated for the congressional district representative.
He can't be, because he's already.
Yeah, you cannot do double, you only get one spot on the CC.
Oh, he can run for that.
He can, yeah. Yeah, so we can put Michael White on the ballot then for that if he doesn't get co-chair, which I don't see. But then if he doesn't get it, yeah, it'd be vacant.
Yeah, that's what Bobby was saying.
Yeah.
A point later.
Yep. Okay. So only Michael White self-nominates for CD 3? Okay. So chapter representatives do need to be confirmed, but I don't think any of the chapters did their fall like meetings yet to appoint.
Yeah, we could, I mean, we already approved Bruce.
So
and
for
you
this
already
year?
approved.
This means they go on the ballot.
Yeah, are the chapter representatives on the ballot, or that's?
No, we approved in the last, I'm sorry, we approved in the last bylaws changes. We approved that you would be able to, the chapters would be able to nominate and vote for their own representatives, that the whole membership does not have to approve them.
Okay.
And that went through in the spring.
Okay, perfect. Then we don't have to worry about that. So if you are elected by your local, then yes.
But so potentially, instead of being the chapter representative, could potentially run for the congressional district.
Correct. Yes. But you only get one spot, so it's either or.
Right.
Okay. So are you doing it or just Michael White?
Let's see, well, if he ends up switching, yeah, I'll put in for that, because then if Michael, hypothetically, if Michael did win co-chair and got the congressional.
Okay, so we have for CD 3, we have Michael Wright and Lauren
Divine.
Divine. Okay. So CD 4.
Chapter, right?
Yeah, but Josh, you're not gonna run?
Okay.
Well, technically, I'm registered in CD1 right now, and we can CD4.
Oh, so
there's no confusion.
You're gonna do the other, okay, so I'll self-nominate.
So Tom Rodman self-nominates for CD 4. Any other nominations? And coordinating council members, please keep me honest if you saw anything come in through the email that I did not see.
Oh, Micah says I nominate myself for District 4.
Okay, so Micah, what's
Micah
Levitt.
Levitt.
You can run for both, like CDX and at large, so.
Correct.
I'm just trying to look at the job.
Well. Okay, CD5,
5, no, you're 6. Who's 5? Bobby Gibbs is 5. All right. He's treasurer.
Yeah.
I mean, he's running for treasurer.
CD5 looks like
CD5
Brookfield,
West
McLean,
Dallas.
West Bend, Waukesha.
Yeah, that's.
Also Wauwatosa, West Dallas, and
Yeah, I use CD5.
yeah, I'm pretty sure last time I looked.
You have any friends in CD5? Last call for. Okay. Yeah, all right. So CD5. Well, because he's gonna be Greater Milwaukee Green Party. Unless he wants to run for CD5.
The other half, part of West Dallas, did you vote in the when our 11 election was down? Oh, no, you didn't vote. So would you have been able to, would you been in Glen Ward's district or no?
It's well, where's the power line?
Okay, so
It looked like most of Wauwatosa, West Dallas, and
I think Tommy's trying to figure out if he's in CD5 to see if he can nominate. Can you show Tommy the map?
maybe Sue with the national.
Okay, we're gonna skip CD5. We'll come back once you guys figure out it.
That's pretty deep in Dallas.
CD6, anybody? Okay, so Jeffrey self-nominates for CD6 rep.
Probably more.
Anybody else? CD7,
Kingfisher Stack, I self-nominate.
okay, Jonathan Kingfisher. For CD7, anybody else, CD7? All right, CD8. Anybody in CD8? Alrighty, so it looks like CD8 will be vacant, and any update on CD5?
I nominate Bruce for CD5, and then,
Like JMGP can,
what?
then, okay, so,
I nominate Bruce for CD5. Do you accept the nomination, Bruce?
Sure.
okay, so Bruce has been nominated for CD5. Okay. And, Mike McAllister, can I confirm that you've got all those names down so far?
I'm sorry.
Did you get everybody's names down of who was nominated?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. All right. Then we do have our at-large representatives, and our bylaws do allow us up to 8 at-large representatives. So anywhere you live in the state, you can nominate yourself. So we have Josh Anderson nominates himself.
I also like to nominate both Mike McAllister and Rita for at-large numbers, just in case one of them doesn't, or since one of them will in that position, I hold them.
Okay. So if you didn't hear that online, Josh wants to nominate Rita and Mike McAllister for at large in case they don't get, one of them won't get their CD spot. So Rita, do you accept? Rita accepts. Mike McAllister, do you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else want to be at large?
Yeah, I'll go. Yeah, I'll go too.
Okay, so Tommy King self-nominates for at large. Tom Rodman self-nominates for at large. Okay, last call for at large reps. Alrighty. And then
I think I missed the last one. I've got Rita, me, and Tommy.
Tommy King and then Tom Rodman.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So. Oh, okay. So, on here I have chapter representatives, but it sounds like that was removed from the bylaws, you're saying, correct? We don't have to vote at that? Okay. So we can skip that one. And currently we do not have any caucuses, recognized caucuses by the Wisconsin Green Party. So if you would like to start a caucus, in the past we have had women's, or lavender we called it for the LGBTQ+. Go ahead, Bruce.
We usually elect our national committee
Right.
representatives.
Oh, okay, so I missed that. Okay, so if you want to start a caucus, please let us know. We can start getting people connected.
I think that's the requirements. Once or twice a year. Get recognized.
Okay, so to be a recognized caucus, Rita's double checking bylaws, but Josh thinks it's only 2 members and meet once a year. So as we're checking on that, we do need
5 members.
Oh.
For caucus. It's 3 for, a chapter.
Okay. So five members in good standing to create a caucus. Okay. National
Committee, we have 2 and 2 alternates, right?
Okay, and those are not part of the CC, or are they members on the CC?
No.
They're not. So they're just representatives to our national committee. So we have 2 positions open to alternates. So anybody want to be? Okay, so we have Bruce and Tom Rodman that have raised their hands to be national delegates. Oh, and Barb, what's her new name? Dahlgren. New name, only 5 years old. 6. Anybody online want to nominate?
Kingfisher Stack.
Go ahead, Kingfisher.
I'm sorry I had to step away, but I just wanted to be clear. I was self-nominating as well for national delegate pass.
So does Dave.
Dave and Kingfisher. So we have 4 wanting to be national delegates. Right. Okay. And go ahead, Mike.
Self-nominate.
Okay, so and Mike McAllister.
Are they all nominating for, the delegate position or the alternate position? Is anybody?
Rank choice.
We changed that a couple of a year or so ago. The bylaws, I believe, now state that the top 2 vote getters are the delegates, and the next 2 are the alternates.
Okay.
All right. So last call for any national delegates.
Could you repeat who they are? I didn't catch them all.
So we have Tom Rodman, Bob Dahlgren, Bruce Hinkforth, Mike McAllister, and Dave Schwab. Oh, and Joe Nathan Kingfisher. Right.
And Dave, did we get Dave now?
Dave Schwab. Yeah.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I have 7 names, right?
Bruce, Barb, Tom, Dave, Joe Nathan, Mike McAllister. 6.
So Dave, Joe Nathan, Tom Rodman, Mike McAllister, Bruce, Barbara, and no, Tommy, were you? No, you were. Okay, were you? That's 6.
Okay, so we have the 6, correct? Nobody else self-nominates? Okay. All right. So are we complete with nominations, it looks like. Okay. And due to timing, is it fair that we give a week for the committee to get out the ballots, and then you have 7 days to vote? So that we can make sure everybody can be involved, or make sure we get all the appropriate information.
Also, if you could tell us exactly how you're deciding who is a member and who isn't. If you have exceptions, you know, like somebody ran from.
Okay, excellent. Then the last thing, and we have a half hour for, not even a half hour, bylaw amendment discussion. Rita, would you be willing to?
Sure. And if you don't have a copy of the bylaws in front of you, they are, they were sent in the email and the agenda. They're part of the agenda. And there are a few hard copies back on the table for those of you in the room. If you don't have a copy, they're out there. Okay, so the reason for the bylaws changes, and I had announced this last spring, that we wanted to bring consensus back into our bylaws, because right now, all of our decision-making is done online and not in this room. So basically, there's really no reason to show up for a meeting, voting about, you know, decisions about bylaws, decisions about anything, aren't done via consensus, and consensus is a bedrock principle of the Green Party. If you go on the National Green Party site and look at the guidelines for meetings, it says that there should be consensus whenever possible. So I know that things had to go online for the pandemic, but right now we are able to, I think they can hear me just fine. Anyway, I think we are able to bring consensus into our bylaws. And so that's one of the main things. One, the bylaws changes is just to note exactly what we're doing right now, which is having a hybrid membership meeting that makes it possible for everybody to join us in, even if they can't travel to the membership meeting. And then thirdly was just a change about, I'll go through these specifically, each one, but the thirdly was changes about removal. There was a feeling in the Milwaukee Green Party that there needed to be some specifics about removal that from the party, and in terms of the person being accused and being removed from the party, just some guidelines about days given for a hearing and that sort of thing. So those are the three sections that we are talking about today. So the first one currently says that we have meetings online. And the proposed change is that there shall be meetings of the members at least biannually. The meeting shall be hybrid with a central in-person location determined by the coordinating council. And that is the main change in that bylaw. So that's the first one. And I don't know if we are going, I propose that we make decisions at this meeting right now whether these bylaws pass, because the reason is that a person that is just seeing these in a list that they vote on, they don't get to hear the discussion in the meeting. And I think that, you know, we're going to open this up to discussion and hear about if people think there should be small changes or whatever to it. But a person that's just coming to vote, they're not going to see any of this, so, or hear any of this. So I believe that we are able to make decisions in a membership meeting. There's no reason why we can't. We make it as convenient as possible by making it hybrid. So I think that we should be voting on these bylaws changes at this meeting in person. Yeah, and there was a second to that. Okay, so that's the first one. The second one, or you want to discuss these separately? What do you want to do?
I would say we should discuss it more.
Okay,
But I do
yeah.
want to work together.
Well, that's the first one. So,
Already a motion on the stage, so we should discuss that motion forward, right?
oh, the motion about making the decision. Okay, so Tommy King was seconded the motion, the proposal to vote at this meeting about the bylaws changes.
Call for discussion.
Yeah, call for discussion. Are you watching the chat? Okay. 'Cause I'm not a-
I shared out a copy of the changes.
Okay. Any discussion, any problems with saying that it should be a hybrid meeting?
Dave is
Or-
on.
Okay, Dave's on stack. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, so our bylaws say clearly, decisions made at membership meetings shall be subject to ratification by online voting by the full membership of the party. So that's not something that we can decide to change right now. That's in our bylaws and it's very clear.
It's a motion to waive the bylaws.
Yeah.
And move forward.
It's a motion to waive the bylaws for this decision, not the elections, just this decision on the bylaws changes. The membership has the power to do that. Discussion on this? Any other discussion?
I'm on stack.
Okay, sorry, I can't see it from here. Go ahead.
I have a question, first of all. To make bylaws changes, most organizations require a 2/3 vote. I can't recall, do our bylaws require us to pass bylaws changes by a 2/3 vote? That's my question.
60%, yeah. 60%.
60%, okay.
Yeah.
I really think that we should follow our bylaws. And that includes making changes to our bylaws. So I think that I've read through the proposed changes a couple of times. And I think that there's a lot in there that's good and supportable. And I think that our members who will read through it will agree with that. And I think that they'll vote in favor of those changes. But I think we should consult them and not just assume that the 20 people at this gathering have the right to set aside our bylaws. Pass.
Tiffany.
Yeah, I agree with making sure that it's voted properly, just to make sure that there's no discrepancies the next meeting, somebody's saying, hey, this wasn't done properly. So if it's in our bylaws, I'd say we follow the bylaws to make sure that it doesn't get called into question in the future.
So if that's stated, go.
Yeah, we'll go on to that.
So we can just.
We can do it. I don't see we can do it.
Okay. Actually, Bruce pulled up the bylaws and it shows that amendments to the bylaws may be made at the membership meeting.
Let me read it. Article 12 amendments, Section 1 amendments. These bylaws may be amended at any membership meeting by the decision of the members present.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Also,
Which means we don't have to put it to an online vote.
Stack.
go ahead, Dave.
Okay, so I believe this is the 4th or 5th time that I'm quoting this. Decisions made at membership meetings shall be subject to ratification by online voting by the full membership of the party. So that's very clear. And it doesn't say that you can't make a decision at the membership meeting, but what it does say is decisions made at membership meetings shall be subject to ratification by online voting by the full membership of the party. And, to address a few points that have been brought up, one is that there are a lot of people who we know aren't in the room today because they had other commitments. So the idea that even, a hybrid meeting can be inclusive of everybody we know that's not the case because there's even, committed members of the coordinating council who couldn't make it today because they had other commitments. So we certainly shouldn't exclude them, not to mention other people who have to work or for whatever reasons can't be, in a 4-hour meeting on a random Saturday. So another point is that in the past, when bylaws have been chosen to be waived, first of all, that wasn't, directly overruling, what it says about our process in the bylaws. And typically when bylaws were waived, that was, because there weren't really ways to comply with them. For example, if there's only one person running for co-chair and that person has already served the term, if people agree, well, we can't really comply with this and continue to function as an organization. So waiving bylaws is not something just to do lightly because people want to ram through changes. And, we've had a lot of discussion on bylaws recently. I think anyone who's been involved knows that. And, typically the, people have insisted, okay, well, our practice used to be that we would have long periods of discussion before voting on bylaws. And, even in the past, it was a practice that at one gathering, we would have discussion of bylaws changes, and then it would be voted on at the next gathering. So there was a lot of time for people to consider. And yeah, and now some of the very same people seem to be insisting that we need to overrule our bylaws so that we can change our bylaws.
Okay, I'm gonna put myself on the stack and do a direct response, Dave.
Okay. All right. Well, all right.
It's still
Okay. Well, then, all right.
on the
All right. Well,
bylaws.
then you can respond when I'm done.
Okay, there is a conflict in the bylaws.
Because it just feels like a power grab. And, I want to insist that we follow the bylaws and that we involve our members in democratic decision-making. Pass.
So there is a discrepancy in our bylaws. One part of the bylaws said that they would have to do all decisions, and the other part of the bylaws says that we can do it. So there is a discrepancy there. I've got Bruce on the stack and I've got Tom on the stack.
Not a discrepancy.
Let's try to hurry. Let's try to hurry through
Okay.
this.
The passage that Dave is quoting says, decisions made at membership meetings shall be subject to ratification by online voting. This language has been legally determined, and I've looked this up. That does not require all decisions to be made by votes. Subject to means we can decide whether to put it to an online vote or not. And on top of that, the original language, the language in bylaws concerning changing the bylaws that I just spoke, that's been around a lot longer than this new thing. And never mind. I won't get into personal things, but there's things I could say.
Can we just go to a vote actually on this? Because there's obviously a discrepancy about it. The motion is on the table that because otherwise we won't get to any of the bylaws.
I'm on stack, by the way. I'm on stack in the
It's on the
chat.
stack?
So Kingfisher.
Oh, thank you. Kingfisher, anybody else? Okay, go ahead, Jonathan.
So I carried the Black's Law Dictionary, which is the official dictionary of legal terms. And I'm not reading the same thing Bruce is. So I don't know what dictionary subject to goes to, but right. So even if we vote to change the rules, the subject to the full membership would mean the decision we make would not be binding. I mean, maybe you could then send it to the membership but then, acting working precedent is the membership is expecting to be included. You know, that's and it discriminates against working people and people that can't make a personal or hybrid meeting. So we improved membership. That's incredibly hopeful. Now let's include the membership that we're including, and that's inclusive. Pass.
Right. So, is there anybody? I think Bill's on stack. So, oh, did I miss Mike McAllister? Oh, okay. So,
Can I call the question? Can we just call the question? Just call the question, because we're not into the bylaws yet.
okay. So we can vote. So this does have to meet the 60% threshold then, right?
Has to be
Okay.
60%.
Wait,
So all
aren't Mike and Bill on stack though?
Call the question.
If you-
Discussion over.
Yes, that's true.
okay. So I just want to make note that we are at 3:43 and the meeting does need to wrap up by 4 o'clock for in person at least. So I mean, I don't know what the rules are. So it's called to question. So we have to go straight to vote because there is obviously not consensus. So
You have to vote on calling a question.
Unless there's anybody that's a stand aside, a blocking concern, which I'm assuming there are blocking concerns. But you can ask, is there blocking concerns? And if there are, then we have to go to a vote.
okay. So are there, so, and please correct me, so I'm being instructed that if there's blocking concerns, so are there any blocking concerns to this proposal?
Yes,
Okay, so then we move to vote.
yes,
Correct. Okay,
there is a blocking concern.
okay. So all in favor of the
Voting on the bylaws at this meeting, at the membership meeting in person.
So all in favor of voting on the on the bylaw changes in person at this meeting, please comment in the chat or raise your hand at the meeting. So we have Jeff, Reese here, Rita, Barb, Tommy, and Tom here raising their hands. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hands raised here.
Bob Gifford says no. No. Said no. Mike says no. Dave says no. Dave says no. James says yes. Bill says no. Angelica says yes. Who says no?
So there was 1, 2, 3, 4 no's. 1, 2.
I'm counting 6.
There were 6 yeses.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
No, 6 yeses. There was Jeff, Bruce, Barb, Tommy, you, and Tom.
James
Okay, so 6 yeses total.
and Mike.
So there's 6 in this room. Okay, and what is the total number of people at the meeting? Online?
I didn't see any vote from
It's 60%, so yes.
And Mary, did Mary?
No, but it has to be 60%. Oh, okay.
60%.
You do the math. Somebody else. So it's yeses versus nos, so those who stand aside are not counted. So we have 9 yeses. Rita's doing the math.
No, it's not, Dorothy didn't, Mary Desoya, yeah, Mary. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 to 9. Okay, so we can move forward with the bylaw changes. We have our 60%.
Okay, so the total
Yeah,
was
that's exactly 60%.
6 nos, 10 yeses,
We have
That's exactly
60%.
okay.
I-
All right.
Dorothea hasn't had a chance to weigh in. She said, she doesn't know the wording of the question.
Okay, the wording of the question is, Dorothy, shall we make decisions on the bylaws at the meeting here rather than put it out for a vote with the elections? We were saying we should do it. I was saying we should do it here because then we hear the discussion and we can discuss them here and do it via consensus. Because they're about consensus. Oops, okay. So did,
What's the new message?
Oh, wait, Dorothy's
abstaining, okay. All right, so guys, the first one is up or down basically about the meetings being hybrid. Shall the meeting be hybrid for membership meetings? And that is the first change. Should we vote again, or is there a consensus and discussion on that? Anybody want to raise issues about that? That's what we're in right now.
So it is making it mandatory for it to be hybrid versus allowed.
Right.
Excuse
Right,
me,
only online.
can
Go ahead.
somebody please read me the vote on the final vote on this?
Sure. Final vote was 9 yes, 6 no, 2 abstain.
Yes.
Wait, 9 or is it 10? Let's see. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, 10 yes. That's right. Mary Sanderson voted yes. So it's 10 yes, 6 no.
Thank you.
All right. So any concerns about changing the bylaws so that our meetings are hybrid? Bruce?
I'd just like to note that this change requires us to have in-person meetings. Whereas we have not had in-person meetings for some time now. We finally reestablished.
Okay. Any concerns? All right, hearing none. That bylaw change passes. The second one is in decision-making. Okay, currently, as you have heard, we ratify everything online by voting. It says decisions, you heard Dave say that, so we know what that is. All right, so the proposed change is, so we can bring back some consensus in our meetings.
Kingfisher stack, Kingfisher stack.
Make a reason for us to be
Kingfisher
together.
stack.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about the first bylaw change, or are you talking about the second bylaw change, Joe Nathan?
I don't consider this legitimate. You had better send out to the whole membership. It's been advertised in advance. I'm not participating.
Okay. All right. So the second proposed change is that decisions made at state membership meetings shall be made via the consensus process. If a consensus cannot be reached, members will vote during the meeting in order to pass a proposal must receive 60% majority. This is basically the same language we had in our old bylaws before we took consensus out completely. And this is not counting abstaining votes. So elections at state membership meetings shall be conducted using ranked choice voting. So we have a change here for consensus at membership meetings, and we still keep in elections may be held online with a voting period not to exceed 5 days. Now, if for some reason, you know, we can't do online voting, or, you know, who knows what happens. I said, that's why I put in may be held online, because we could have a decision that we have voting held at the membership meeting, but we could change that if people want to, but I just have it set that we're still doing our elections online. Online voting shall be conducted in a manner that ensures the security and integrity of the voting process. All members in good standing, that's all the same. Okay, so that's the second change. Discussion on that then.
Yeah.
Okay, I heard somebody say stack, go ahead.
Okay, so, you know, first of all, just for the record, I agree with Joe Nathan that this is not a legitimate process. But since we were planning to discuss these proposals at this meeting, if not vote on them, then I do want to register my concerns with this. First of all, there's no definition of what the consensus process means. And it's clear that, you know, even though the Greater Milwaukee Green Party has its own process, that is not well understood or practiced by others in the Wisconsin Green Party. And, you know, so I'm concerned about that lack of definition, because I know that in Milwaukee, a small number of people can block a decision from happening, and that's not a democratic process. You know, our core principle is grassroots democracy. And I also have a serious concern about changing the language, you know, that, again, all decisions shall be subject to ratification by online voting of the full membership of the party. And obviously this proposed change would do away with that and say elections may be held online, but it's very clear that the authors of this proposal don't respect that and seem not to want to put decisions to the full membership of the party. And, you know, it just seems quite ironic that you're talking about consensus and meanwhile, you know, ramming through a process in a, you know, in a very non-consensual manner. So yeah, serious concerns about this. Pass.
Go ahead, Barbara. Anybody else on staff that you can see? Can you?
Yeah.
Mike, okay, thanks. Barbara and then Mike.
Yeah, so I really like the way that this is written. It brings back consensus into our process. Consensus is really important to the foundation of the Green Party, that we are trying to work together on issues. That doesn't mean that we're always going to have consensus. In a lot of this case today, we are seeing that consensus is not always going to happen. But we need people to gather and be in the room. If there's no reason to actually come here and talk with each other, then we basically have no Green Party. And also we have no way to really make decisions in an appropriate democratic way with discussion. All the people who are going to see just a name or a question on the ballot online, they're not going to watch this discussion right here. They're not going to see 4 hours of discussion or anything like that. So it's important that we honor all of the people who drove here today, who have spent their afternoon to come online, and not just say, oh, the membership is somewhere out there. It's some nebulous number of people. Sorry, I have a giggly baby with me. It's some nebulous amount of people who's working and they can't come here, and we have to do things for them. This, what you see here today, is the core group of the membership right now. And I hope that that grows, but we want to encourage people to come meet us where we are. It's so important to be able to talk with one another. So I want to move this forward. And by the way, all of these bylaws changes, it's not being rammed through today. We saw them last time. We saw them in the spring. This is the second reading and second time that we're discussing. So I disagree with that, that we can't make any decisions as a Green Party group, and that we can't actually you know, make decisions here and talk with one another. If you disagree with that, that's not democratic either. To say, oh, we can't make discussions, we're going to have some nebulous online group that a small committee forms later to decide who's going to be able to vote and who's not going to be able to vote, and everybody's going to see it and secretly online in their emails, and you know, whoever gets to see it later is. Let's shove it off to later. No, let's have these discussions. Let's be adults and get together and move them forward.
Okay.
Thanks.
Mike, you were next.
Okay, I want to agree with Joe Nathan and Dave. Another core value of the Green Party, and we talk about it all the time, is that we stand for grassroots democracy. At a core level, that means that we want decisions to be made both inside our party and in the outside world. Decisions should be made by the broadest section of the membership. Whoever, you know, who is here, who is available to make the decisions and available to and willing to help build our organization. Now, okay, so you want to argue that the people who can't be here get no right to vote whatsoever, despite the fact that while we have hybrid meetings, and you have mandated hybrid meetings, by the way, we have transcripts, we have recordings. These are available for folks who may not be available this afternoon, but are serious and want to participate in the decision-making level. And we should obviously make that material available to the voting membership before they vote. So there's a way to deal with this. And yes, you know, maybe they don't get a chance to say here in the room, but you know, transportation can be difficult for some folks. Not everybody can get to Racine on a Saturday afternoon. And it doesn't, you know, I mean, people have priorities. So this is absolutely, this is undemocratic.
All right, it's
and
after
it should be voted down.
We have to cut. Can we vote on this one or not?
Well,
Zach,
it
Can we
is
call the
after
question?
4 o'clock. So we only have this room to 4, and I do not want to get charged another hour or whatever fees they have. So we do have to wrap up the meeting.
All right, well, since we're on this question, can we just say, are there blocking concerns? If there are blocking concerns, as the consensus process goes,
If they're blocking concerns, it goes to a vote again. Are people, they're blocking concerns. I'm assuming there are. Can you look in the chat?
I mean,
Yes.
I would say that discussion on this bylaw hasn't been finished, obviously, because there are still lots of people on the staff.
But we've had this like for a year. So, I mean, this is just bringing consensus back to our bylaws. That's all we're doing.
This really needs to be a longer conversation. I agree with all the bylaws.
But then you're just gonna put it, we're not gonna discuss it anyway. We're just gonna put it on a vote. We're just gonna put it on a vote anyway. What's the difference? What's the difference between this?
Do people know what majoritarian voting is?
So, I don't know. I mean, I think that.
If it's just moving to ballot anyway, why don't we vote now?
Why don't we just vote now, just for this one, and then we'll throw the next one into the next spring meeting or something.
Because I feel like there needs to be a lot more discussion. There are more people on staff.
Be a separate, like, meeting, we could set for people to get on and do a discussion and vote.
I understand. It's just gonna go down.
Yeah. So
it's being moved to the spring meeting, is that it?
Why can't we have?
That's fine.
I mean, let's see, I definitely see Steve.
You guys
I
ran through the changes in the last session.
I didn't ram through anything. I'm not gonna play, we're not gonna keep.
What I'm saying is that
We're talking about consensus.
So I move to adjourn the meeting. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you for everybody for attending. I guess we'll continue an email discussion and then continue the bylaws next membership. Thank you.